Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. Happy Labor Day. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. But if you do, remember we've got you covered all 3 hours posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault every day upon the conclusion of the program. You can always email the show if you like, jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter @JCameronShow, WTSM app for your mobile devices. Also, we're on YouTube. Hello, everybody watching on YouTube. ESPN Tallahassee is what you want to type in when you get there, and you'll find us. All right, I guess we got to get straight to it. Interesting weekend of college football that we'll have to take a peek at beyond Florida State, who falls to Alabama. But first, obviously, for those, I guess, that don't know, I don't know who that would be at this juncture. If you're interested in Florida State athletics or you're just paying attention to college football and the teams in the top 25 at the very least, then you would know this. But, again, maybe some don't. Maybe some just getting out of work or jumping online to catch up. Sadly, Francois, starting quarterback for the Noles, is done for the season. And you hate it for a kid who works as hard as he does and a kid who is as committed as he's been to go down in the season opener, really in garbage time. To get hurt in that situation is well, it's sad, but it's also football. Let's be honest. These are the things that can happen, and it's what did happen to Francois. So his season is over, and that creates a lot of interesting talking points. I really believe that. A lot of interesting scenarios that we can speculate about, but also try to predict and try to get a feel for. And I had an opportunity early this morning to talk to Jimbo Fisher. You'll hear that interview. It's brief. It's to the point. Not a lot there, frankly. It's not a disinteresting interview, but it's just an interview that's pretty straightforward because I believe, before we get to Florida State's new quarterback, James Blackmon, the freshman, I believe this game is as easy to analyze as maybe we've ever had to talk about. I don't think there's much to it. I think Florida State walks off the field Saturday night disappointed, obviously, A, by the injury, but B, with the result. But they also walk off the field, I think, feeling very, very good about the kind of football team that they have. I thought that Florida State would struggle to move the ball, certainly on the ground against Alabama. That turned out to be true, but that's not shocking or even all that disappointing. Nobody really runs the ball on Alabama, and Florida State didn't either. The special teams breakdowns is where you begin and end. You really cannot play that kind of poor on special teams. It's embarrassing. I'm sure Jimbo, if he was being completely honest with you and open, he's not going to do this publicly, and it's not something a coach should do publicly. But I imagine he was mortified by what he saw there. I will tell you that, quite frankly, if this was professional football, I think there's little chance that Jay Graham would have a job today. I would think that if you almost single-handedly, or your unit, one of the things you're in charge of, he's also the running backs coach, so I don't want to put it that being the only thing, but if one of the things that you're in charge of played that poorly and led to what I called devastating losses and results in certain situations for Florida State, I don't know that you could keep your job. Jimbo's not going to fire him in the season. He's never fired an assistant coach. So you're not going to get that. I don't know what good it does you to do so in season anyhow. Now, you can reassign somebody, and you can certainly take more of the impetus on yourself. Jimbo has done that in the past when he's been disappointed with certain coaches and results from their segments. He's chosen to maybe pay closer attention to the work they're doing or not doing. I would gather that the head coach in this situation, if in fact he is livid about the way special teams played out, and no doubt he has to be, would do exactly that. So look for that. We'll see if it improves. If it doesn't, then obviously we'll have to continue to be critical of it because it costs you football games, and it's absolutely preventable to some extent. What's not preventable? What are certain aspects of special teams that were also faulty in this game that also led to all kinds of hidden yards and problems for Florida State and opportunities for Alabama that maybe you can't fix? Logan Tyler sucked. I don't know if you fix him. that he's got a thunderous leg. This is about what's going on between the ears. He was one of the worst punters, statistically speaking, in the country over the weekend. You can look at every meaningful number by which you gauge and evaluate a punter, and Logan Tyler sucked. Now, I hate to be critical to a kid who is on scholarship and not being paid by a professional organization. A lot of times you'll hear me, as I've gotten older, I'm getting a little better about this. I wasn't always this way. I'll oftentimes say, for example, we had a problem at right guard in this game. You guys can look up the right guard. We had a problem at right guard in this game. That's accurate. I'm not just making that up. That's not a hypothetical. Had some issues with the right guard in this game. But Logan Tyler's a punter. We all know who he is. He's too talented to play that way. I really hope that whatever's going on with him, he's able to fix, because that's not something necessarily your special teams coach fixes. That's a guy who's got a great leg who's not coming through when you need him to come through. I mean, you're averaging 31 yards a punt. Thanks for playing, man. What are we doing here? I mean, you're flipping field position. We have opportunities to pin Alabama, whose offense is not moving the ball. Alabama's offense in this game, 4.5 yards per play. Worst they've done in over 30 games. You've got to go back 3 seasons to see a worse yards per play for an offense for Alabama than the one they had against Florida State. I mean, that's how good this defense was. And time and again, that defense's back was up against the wall because of special teams blunders and mistakes made. Obviously, DeAndre threw a couple picks there and put you in a bad situation. You have 5 consecutive possessions in which your defense is taking the field on the wrong side of the 50. And yet you're still in the game, in theory, couple plays away, 2 scores away into the fourth quarter, because the defense is that kind of stout and that kind of tough. That is a great night for Charles Kelly. Of the things that you got right and the things that you got wrong, whether it's the Jeff Cameron Show, me personally, Tom, us as a group, whatever it might be, here's the thing I wasn't willing to do. I got some things right, got some things wrong. We all do that every week. I wasn't willing to give Charles Kelly the benefit of the doubt. I came into this game, said 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you. Well, for this game, he passes with flying colors. The defense is fast. It is deep. It'll hit you. It's talented. They're going to be great. And this is going to be the unit that has to lead the way now as you ease a freshman quarterback, James Blackmon, into the starting lineup. You're going to have to, obviously, to some extent, at least early on, it's probably the wrong phrasing, but in truth, pare down. Okay, I'll say it that way. Pare down the offensive playbook until he gets a better grasp and you can see that he can do it while the real bullets are flying, as they say, when it's live, when it's real time, when it's not practice, when it's a game. So we'll see what he can handle and what he can't handle. Obviously, you'll ease him into it. This is a great way for him to get started this weekend against Louisiana Monroe, where you're not really at threat to lose the football game. So a lot of factors here. Special teams is really why you lose the football game. Alabama's defense is great. We knew that going in. Couldn't run the ball against them, but I do believe Florida State will run the ball effectively moving forward. I think we realize Cam Akers is going to have to be the guy. I think you're going to need quicker-footed guys. Listen, I will say this, that Jaquez Patrick may not be the guy to carry the load, and he's waited his turn, and that's a shame for him. But reality, this is not – it's a meritocracy. You got to earn it. You got to be able to play when you're called upon. He's a really good blocker. He's great in pass pro, so he'll still fill a role on this team. He's just not going to be able, in my mind, to be the primary back. So we'll see that Florida State will try to run the ball more effectively. I think they will against non-Bama fronts. From there, I would tell you that I thought in pass protection especially, Florida State's offensive line held up very well with a few exceptions. But on the whole, Alec Eberle played very, very well in this football game. DeAndre was guilty once again of holding the ball for too long. He does that. He missed some hot routes, missed some checks. He does that too. That's not on the offensive line. The offensive line wasn't perfect, but against Bama, no offensive line is. I think by and large they played well enough to win the football game. You weren't really going to run the ball, I don't think. If there's a criticism of Jimbo, I would tell you my criticism. The way I feel about this is they probably should have run Francois more, try to create different run angles, try to give yourself an opportunity to win the math battle, if you will, because I don't think you were going to run traditionally against Alabama. And I think he's admitting that. He's telling you that they weren't going to be able to do that. He came out throwing the ball for a good reason. Some people faulted him and said, hey, why don't we try to run the ball? You weren't going to run the ball. You weren't going to run the ball. I think throwing to set up the run was the right play. If you were going to run the ball, I would have run with the quarterback. Before you talk, Tom, let me just say this, because I want to hear your opinion on this. I came away from this game, and this is the part I got right, besides Bama winning, which I'm not happy to get right. I said I thought I'd leave that stadium feeling really good about the rest of the season, even if we lost the game, that I would leave there saying, we're going to be all right. And can you believe that we lose our starting quarterback for the year, lose the game, frustratingly so, and that holds true today? Because it does. I feel very good about the rest of the season. And I don't say that because I think you need a pick-me-up. I say that because the defense is better. I say that because the offensive line is better. I say that because you won't be facing another defensive unit, the likes of Alabama, unless you play them again in the playoff, which right now, admittedly, doesn't seem all that likely now that you have to start a true freshman quarterback. But there are elements of this team that will ensure that they don't go in the tank. For all the people writing to me via email or Twitter and saying, well, that's it. It's a 4 or 5 loss season. Oh, no. I don't think so. And I'll go on in this after we get done with the Jimbo interview later and get into why I'm kind of excited in a weird way. It's almost perverse. Somebody would say, well, you're excited that Francois went down? No, of course not. I didn't want to see him go down. But he is. There's nothing you can do about that. He's gone for the season. We're moving on. Hopefully he gets better, the surgery works, and he's all right, and he's competing for the job next year. I have a theory on that as well. But that said, he's gone now, and I like James Blackmon, and Fisher likes James Blackmon, and he's a 6'5" thrower of the football who's got a beautiful touch. This could be fun.
A lot to unpack there. Out of the 85 things he said, I probably agree with about 83 or 84 of them. In this game, we were toe-to-toe with Alabama in 2 phases, and the third phase obviously was the one that cost us dearly. To me, my number one fear about details of the game was hidden yardage. Man, I got to stop having fears or stop sharing them because it was center for a couple of years and then it was special teams before this game. And good God, I didn't think it could get that bad. I didn't think it could be that bad. The hard part about this game in the first half, I truly believe this. Florida State was the better team in the first half. And I don't think there's much doubt about that. You need your quarterback to pull the trigger on 4th down on your first drive. I sound like Jimbo, but that's a touchdown. You get hurt by a non-call. And I don't want to list officials first, but you hit on so many important things, and I agree with them all. So since we're getting to the third tier of the game.
Got to call pass interference
there. You got to call pass interference there. It's got to be a better throw, but you got to call pass interference there.
By the way, I'm glad you noted that. It wasn't a good throw.
No. If it's to the back line of the end zone, it's a score. But still, that's 100% out of 100 pass interference. You got to have the ball.
Kind of shocking they missed the call there.
On the 2-yard line, and then you get your freaking kick blocked. It's a tie game at worst in the half, and you feel like you still, even if it's 10-10, you left points on the board. From what I saw in the trench play, it was better than I thought it was going to be, both sides. I thought the defensive line played better than I thought it would, holding up against the run.
Yeah, I like that defensive line a lot. I will say I think the offensive line was a lot better than people are giving them credit for in some places. In some areas, I see the criticism. I don't see it. I thought they played pretty well.
Wholeheartedly agree. My number one concern was right guard, and we had some issues there. But again, it's also Alabama, and there are some plays that Alabama made that, when you play the elite, they're going to make. For example, the back-to-back pass deflections by that kid, number 69. The second one, Keith Gavin is cutting in, and he's got the whole middle of the field.
Well, this is to the point I'm going to make about the new quarterback.
Well, sure. Just by nature, DeAndre can't grow 4 inches. So, this isn't...
There's some things that are going to improve in the passing game because DeAndre's not in there.
This isn't Gattaca. You can't put, metal rods in your legs to get taller.
Yeah.
But, to me, I think the number one positive I take away from this game is it's more than just the defensive effort. It's the heart that the defense played with, even in garbage time. Look at that game 24/7. Alabama might want to throw another score on the board there. It looked like they were interested in doing so. The defense said, hell no, not today. Or it might have been even 21-7. The defense just, time after time, whether it was the younger guys on the defensive line, like a Josh Kando comes in this game, plays well, and the secondary level of guys like Fred Jones, he comes in and plays well. Hamza plays really well. He makes a key stop on the 3rd down.
By the way, they're going to love him. And he's going to be a star.
They just all played with passion, and you're going to need to lean on a heart and soul segment of 11 until this offense gets where it needs to go. The number one thing I think that we haven't touched on, you've got a superstar in number 3 on the offense. The details are going to come along, but he's got more than foundation parts to be a superstar in college football right now. That dude is dynamic.
You know what's fun about him, and it's also a testament to how good Dalvin Cook was. Cam's going to be a great player. I did completely agree with you. We'll see how great. I think he's a great player. I think I'm spoiled because Dalvin Cook. You see it. There are two runs that Cam makes that Dalvin's probably out the gate, as Jimbo would say. I mean, Dalvin is probably gone, and Cam can't set up the run the way that Dalvin would set up the run. And that will come probably with reps, so I'll hold off. And he's going to be a great player. Again, it sounds like I'm being nitpicky. It's just that I realized by watching him, as good as he admittedly is, he's lacking, he's wanting. That's how good Dalvin was, right? I mean, just to watch some things where you go, oh, well, that's probably 60 yards if Dalvin's turning the corner there.
It could be, but, there was the one pass that was behind him, and it's the GIF and Vine that's making, the rounds where in the open field. I mean, good Lord, how fast do those feet move?
Sure, he embarrasses that kid.
His
I
first
feel bad for that kid, by the way.
His first carry of the game, the whole Noel Nation is crying for another running back to come in there because it's not going to happen for Jaquez on this night. So then Cam comes in, and there is a hole to be had, but he's got to hit it, and he's got to hit it at 100 miles an hour. He does. I'm telling you, the parts are there right now. It's not just about leaning on the defense. If we want to commit to the run a little bit more, which we did not, understandably, to a degree against Alabama, I think it's there to be committed to. I think you've got the horses to go get it done, and the first one leading the way is Cam Akers.
He'll do that now. He has to do that. I think, again, the line will have a lot more success moving forward. I mean, they're not facing Alabama each week. I think, obviously, they'll be able to run against ULM. But I think they'll have more success running the football against Miami and NC State, and obviously later on in their schedule, they're going to have some success on the road against Clemson. You got to survive the Miami game. That's what we look to now. You circle that game. Now, there's a lot more intrigue in this next game with Louisiana Monroe. Just because of the situation. It's almost like it went from being ho-hum to I'm really excited to watch James Blackmon play football.
Yeah, this may be the most exciting FCS/low-level, FBS type game since Jimbo's debut.
Yeah, and there are some things. It's funny. I know how it's going to be perceived by many today, but that's fine. I'm just going to give you my honest opinion. I know there are a lot of certainly anybody that's a rival of Florida State is happy to see DeAndre Francois go down. And I'm not saying they rooted for injury, but once he goes down, that's just the result of the play. It happens. They think their chances are greatly increased to win the game. And that may be true. We'll see how James Blackmon handles the pressure as a true freshman to be the starting quarterback of Florida State. But there's some things I don't think they're thinking about that are now going to be a part of Florida State football every weekend. And going to be something that I think intensifies the way they play defense, the fan base at home, going to will this team a little bit more maybe than they thought they would have had to. You're going to see some things about a group that, A, clearly is different than they were a year ago mentally. And that's important because I think now you're going to see that mental fortitude and toughness that Jimbo was desperately searching for a year ago play a big part if they're going to have big success in the 2017 season. And I think it's there. I'm also encouraged by the fact that a lot of we got a long show. Let's do this. Let's get to a break so we can come back and play the Jimbo Fisher interview. Again, it's a straightforward. I didn't feel the need to. I did ask him specifically what he saw on the film about special teams and the mistakes and the blunders that were made there. I did ask him about the offensive line, and I did ask him about James Blackmon. But this really was cut and dry, where the special teams unit lost you the game. Could you have produced more in the second half on offense? Absolutely. It was not a great effort. I don't think Jimbo had his best day in the second half of play calling there. I'm not sure DeAndre had his best game prior to getting hurt. It's hard to criticize him on a day after a couple days after he's gotten hurt. But he missed some throws. Those 2 picks were terrible. There's some things about what he did in that second half that weren't good either. So I'm not trying to ignore all of that. But really, the crux of the situation here, that the thing you're most focused on is the very thing that lost the game, which is special teams. And it's also why I'm buoyed about the team moving forward. So we'll come back with the Jimbo Fisher interview momentarily. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
I'll do whatever it takes to get myself off the roof. Like 0% interest for 6 years on America's #1 selling SUV, the Nissan Rogue, and up to $5,300 in total savings on the red-hot Nissan Altima. Or take up to $10,500 off MSRP on the Nissan Titan with America's best factory truck warranty, 5 years or 100,000 miles, bumper to bumper. And as always, our exclusive lifetime warranty. And they wonder why Tallahassee is a Nissan town, a Kraft Nissan town. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Brent, this month's topic is classic song lyrics. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Here's a lyric. American history, practical math. You study them hard and hoping to pass.
It's from School Days by the great Chuck Berry. He wrote and recorded so many great hits.
You mean like TNT Supercenter sells and services so many top golf cart brands with an enormous selection all under one roof?
TNT Supercenter customers can compare the top golf cart brands side by side. Club Car, Yamaha, Star EV, and the ultimate hunting vehicle to beat. TNT Supercenter has the largest selection of carts in the area. Pre-owned cars starting at just $19.99. New carts with a 4-year warranty starting at just $49.99. And at TNT, our service center and service technicians are trained, certified, and authorized for every brand we sell.
And there's plenty of parts and accessories too, right?
Our parts inventory is huge, and we'll dress up your existing cart with a full line of Mad Jack's premium accessory products like seat kits, light kits, lift kits, and now for a limited time, save 20% on all Mad Jack's parts and accessories.
TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to Dairy Queen in Thomasville, and online at TNTSupercenter.com.
And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl because we're the Houston Oilers. Houston Oilers. Hey, watch Houston Oilers all the way. Jeff, I will fight you. Houston Oilers. That's their song. Why No. First of all, they never went to a Super Bowl. It's our song. We're the only undefeated team. Oh, we're the only one that takes the ball goal to goal like no one's ever seen. You and the rest of Miami holding on to the past, my friend. But you know what? September the 10th, it's on. Tampa Bay at Miami. Not a chance. You know what that first loss feels like every year because you've never gone undefeated. Houston Oilers. All right, let's go. Dry-aged ribeye steaks. What do you say? I'm in. Let's bet. It's on. Is Bumpa's going to be open yet? Shh, Jeff. They don't know about that one yet. It's coming soon. All right, Bucks. Let's go fish. Good times. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Welcome to Wells Fargo. How can I help you?
Well, every day I get a latte from across the street, and trust me, it's best for everyone that I come to work caffeinated. Only today, I forgot my wallet.
Don't worry. We have a new way you can get money out of the ATM. Just use your phone.
My phone?
Just open your Wells Fargo app and request a one-time access code.
Oh, that's better.
Enjoy the latte.
You have done a great service for the people in my office.
No problem.
Wells Fargo is building better every day with new ways to access your accounts. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
When you're hiring, you want qualified candidates fast, and it can be hard to know where to find them. More than 3 million businesses use Indeed.com, the world's #1 job site. Whether you need entry-level or highly skilled employees, Indeed helps you find great talent and make the right hire. Indeed is offering new users a $50 credit to give their first job post premium visibility as a sponsored job. Redeem this offer at Indeed.com/promo. That's Indeed.com/promo. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio every Monday. We're joined, fortunately, by the head football coach at Florida State University. Today, no different. Coach, you know, I nothing like going back and looking at game film, so I want to get your thoughts on this. I went back and watched the regular broadcast, and I got to tell you, there's a weird part of me that would suggest to listeners right now that other than the DeAndre injury, you might be kind of happy with the film you looked at, save for special teams. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we knew we walked off the field with a very good football team, and just disappointed that we let some things change the momentum of the football game and change it. But it was an extra football game there for a while, and like I said, it was two good teams, and they made less mistakes than we did. There's 3 or 4 critical plays in the game, but that's the way you have to do that. That's all part of it.
Yeah, and looking at it, I don't know. I mean, 7 was the fewest amount of points you could have walked off the field with at the end of the first half. I mean, there are 3 scores there. There's the 4th down play, there's the blocked field goal, there's the touchdown you got. Really, I mean, that's got to be very frustrating because I think, and as you touched on it after the game, Florida State walks into the locker room if any of those are executed with the momentum.
Oh, they are. And then, like I said, we had the 4th down. The 3rd down play was there, too. We just missed it. The 3rd down play was the 1st down, the 4th down play. But at the same time, that's nobody's just fault. And, you play good teams, they do that. We had a great drive. We moved the ball consistently all the way up until after we had the special teams. Even his first drive of the second half was an excellent drive as far as changing field position, winning the battle. When you play good teams like that, it went that way. And I thought the missed call at the end of the first half hurt. But at the end of the day, we could have had a touchdown, but still we had a field goal. We just didn't execute it. And we did in good shape. I felt great at halftime. I thought we were in great shape in the game. We lost the momentum of the game, and that was the big thing that killed us.
Well, you had to have known, obviously, through practices leading up to this game that you had a really good defense. But this defense ends up holding Alabama to 4.5 yards per play. It's a dominant defense. The two offenses, I guess if you just look at some of the totals played even, it really is the easiest game in the world to kind of assess from a distance. We don't have to make too much of it. I mean, it's special teams and it's turnovers. Outside of that, I guess, tell me what the film told you about why those special teams mistakes happened.
One was a technique error. The first one was a technique error, something that we kicked every day. And the other was nothing more than a split. Guy's split was too wide. And it's something in fun and TAT, the disappointing thing is, those are things that we work every day from the first day of camp. We do them religiously and never take a day off of them. And unfortunately, we just had a split that was poor and a technique that cost us on both occasions.
Coach, what did the film tell you? I thought the offensive line held up pretty well, given that it was Bama. I thought DeAndre had some time to throw there. I know he was getting hit, and we'll get to DeAndre in a moment, but I thought the offensive line held up well. What did the film tell you?
Very good. There was only 2 or 3 of the occasions. One sack, a guy got beat on the 3rd down there in the first drive of the second half. We had a chance to make a corner throw, and guy just got beat. Another time they passed off a twist, they shouldn't have, the way they did it. But, I mean, that happens in a game. You never go a game without either some kind of that going on, at least one. But I thought they played that. We chipped and helped them a lot and did a great job. And they, and even when we ran the ball, even our numbers didn't show. Then we just lost the momentum of the game in the third quarter and where we were. But I thought the line played a pretty solid football game.
So, obviously, Coach, now the question, unfortunately, very sad for everybody to see. I hate it for the young man. DeAndre is out for the season. And I guess I want our listeners to hear from the head coach what you do, because as the primary play caller and as the guy that has to gauge the locker room and to speak to his team, I know you love to go to work. I know it's time to do exactly that. But take us through how you guide, how you'll guide James Blackmon, a freshman quarterback, through this process.
Well, the big thing is going to be on a lot of other guys that have to do these things. I'll have to step up. The offensive line, the backs, the receivers, all those things have to do their job, to allow him to do his job, just like with young quarterbacks. That's one of the things that you have to do and you're required to do as a teammate. The defense will continue to play well, but James was a guy that I think was played very well in our scrimmages, executed well, got very good arm talent, throw the ball, and we'll manage the things he can do. But also, the pressures of how things are done will also incorporate more on the other guys on your team and as he grows into his role.
What, for people who don't know who he is, obviously those of us who cover the team locally know how you've talked about him glowingly after practices and talked about his growth and rapid growth at that. For people that don't know, he wasn't even an early enrollee. So what about his game did you immediately see? He's obviously a quick learner. I guess give us a profile of what allowed him to emerge already as a second-string quarterback.
Well, he's great. Does study well. He engages well. He asks questions. All makes sense to him. He works at the game. Learns very quickly. And then has good skills. He can run well. He's actually a very good athlete. He's got good arm talent. He can get the ball to all parts of the field. And throughout that whole process, he's just grown and he played well in the scrimmage. He competed well when the lights went on too. And that's not to say the other young guys. Like I say, I was very pleased with Bailey. Bailey was hurt on one of our scrimmages. I think he's going to be a really nice player too. JJ, JJ had one of the best camps he's had. But James just made plays and also had a presence to him. Had a good presence to him in the huddle.
Coach, best of luck. I'll talk to you again next week. Take care.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care. That's Jimbo Fisher, head football coach at Florida State. Going to work. You got a situation now where it's going to be interesting. I actually believe, and we I barely got a chance to open with this. It's going to be a theme for really, I think, the next few weeks. I kind of think in a weird way, obviously, you hate to see DeAndre Francois get hurt. That's terrible. And you hate it for the kid, and it's not good for the team because he's your guy. But Jimbo Fisher's unique in this way. I think he's very good with young quarterbacks. I think he's really good as a play caller. I think he's best as a play caller when he really has to do it, when he's up against it, when he has to grind and make something, for lack of a better term, out of nothing. If you go back and look at some of the teams that, well, I don't want to make it sound like he's best when he's desperate, but certainly, you know how when you were in college, if some of you were like me, maybe you just stalled and you didn't do the things you needed to do throughout the course of the week, and then bam, you were up against it. A paper was due, a test was to take place the next day, and you had to scramble. And you performed well. And you learned after a while that's kind of how you worked best, under pressure, under the gun, for whatever reason. And it's not a good idea, but you did it, and you got by with it. I feel like Jimbo Fisher's that guy. I feel like he does a fine job otherwise, but when he's pressed, really pressed, and has to find a way, maybe that differs from what he would like to do, he scrambles with the best of them. I think he'll set this up with a young quarterback in James Blackmon in a way that he can succeed, and he walked off that field, as he just said, knowing that his defense was very, very good. They're going to rely on that defense. I really believe that really they're going to be able to run the ball far more effectively. Nobody really runs the ball on Alabama. Ohio State did, different offense, 4 pro offensive linemen, 250-pound quarterback, and Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield. There aren't too many examples. Deshaun Watson scrambling around. These are unique examples. It's not what you see happen against them. That's why every year they have a top 5 rush defense. So I don't think that's a great indicator of how Florida State will run the ball. I think Florida State will run the ball more effectively. They'll play great defense. They got to fix special teams. We could go on and on about that. That's a nightmare, and it should never happen, and it's embarrassing. But I think they walked off the field knowing they have a really, really good football team. I don't think he's wrong about that. We'll come back, react to that momentarily. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
You're part of a growing business. You need to hire, but not just any candidates. You need the right candidates. You need powerful tools to find the right fit for the job, and you need tools that are easy to use. That's where Indeed.com comes in. Indeed's advanced algorithm uses the specific details from your job listing to position your job post where more relevant candidates will find it. The right candidates. Screener questions help you zero in on the best talent, while sort and filter tools keep your recruitment organized. It's no surprise an independent study shows there are 5 times more hires made through Indeed than any other job site, more hires than the rest combined. And right now we're giving new users a $50 credit to post a sponsored job, boosting your listing in relevant search results and helping you find qualified candidates faster. Claim your $50 credit at Indeed.com/credit. That's Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Can't decide between fresh steak, seafood, or wings? Well, Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway has it all. From center-cut sirloin and original pastas to fresh salads and favorites like Miller's Signature Zingers, tossed in your favorite sauce. Miller's Ale House has a full-service bar featuring more than 75 beers, plus wine and liquors. Bring the family to watch the big game inside or on their covered patio on one of over 60 HD TVs. However you come to relax, you will have a good time and great food at Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway.
When it comes to live gaming excitement, Creek Entertainment Gretna is your hometown headquarters. With live poker and simulcast race betting, you've got more winning opportunities right here close to home. Plus, we now offer 3-card poker and Pai Gow in our card room. Satisfy big appetites at Stables, featuring hot and cold sandwiches, salads, and weekend specials. There's always something exciting going on at Creek Entertainment Gretna. I-10, exit 174, Gretna, Florida.
At Whole Foods Market, we believe in real food. Food that's full of nutrients, naturally vivid and colorful, fresh and delicious. Food that connects you to your body, to the seasons, and to the natural world. We believe food should nourish you and help you think. It should help you feel calm, clear-headed, and strong. It should help you do more, sleep better, and wake up happier. That's food that lives up to its name. We believe in real food. Whole Foods Market.
I have known for some time now that some insurance companies are not exactly being truthful with their customers, stating such things as if you do not use one of their approved body shops, they will not guarantee the repairs, or it may cost you more out of pocket. Here at Lisa's Paint and Body Shop, the work we do is guaranteed for as long as you own your vehicle. Lisa's Paint and Body Shop, 385-2665.
License number MP46050.
You know why we love the country music community? Their passion for hometowns. Because at Country Inns and Suites, at home is how we want every guest to feel. That's why we offer complimentary comforts, such as hot breakfast every morning, a Wi-Fi connection, and coffee around the clock. Plus, our spacious rooms are the perfect place to relax and unwind. Our home is always open to you and your family. Book your next stay at countryinns.com.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The Colts will go with Scott Tolzien at quarterback for the opener Sunday against the Rams. Andrew Luck is still not ready to play after right shoulder surgery in January. GM Chris Ballard says there's no timetable for Luck's return. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports arbitrator Harold Henderson will not make a ruling today on the Ezekiel Elliott appeal. Elliott is fighting a 6-game suspension under the league's personal conduct policy. The suspension for Yankees catcher Gary Sanchez is reduced from 4 games to 3. He'll start serving it today against the Orioles. Sanchez was involved in that brawl with the Tigers almost 2 weeks ago.
It's official. Weekends are now reserved for football. So come watch it at B-Dubs with other fans who are all there for the same reason, to watch sports. In a place packed with roaring fans and a vast menu of food. It's built for fans. It's home for football. It's Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio, Labor Day edition. Good to be back with you. And kind of vetting, right, that game, that loss, what is lost, what's to be gained, how the rest of the season looks. Also incorporating, of course, the rest of college football. How about the treat we got last night? Maybe you settled in to watch a little Sunday night football, not expecting much, but West Virginia, Virginia Tech turned out to be an incredible game, a fun game, a physical game. And then, obviously, the tint of suspicion game between two teams that make me laugh every year turned out to be exactly that, exhilarating, fun, and they're not any good. And I'm talking about Texas A&M and UCLA, who this is what they are. It was such a perfect representation of how crappy those coaches and teams are. It's beautiful.
Yeah, if Texas A&M had run away with it in the second half still the way they did and, asserted themselves, you could have said, well, in terms of tent of suspicion, A&M is at least better than UCLA. And then you would have focused on UCLA. But no, not to be outdone. The Aggies decided, well, our lead isn't safe at 44-10.
What's amazing is as that's happening, you have people tweeting on for Texas A&M. You're in the athletic department. You're a higher up official. And you're tweeting about your head coach during a football game? Can you imagine? I mean, if you're the president of the university, are you not getting on the horn going, my man, what are we doing here? I love that they all regret greatly and resent the contract they gave Kevin Sumlin. You could have said no. Could have let that guy walk. His agent did what an agent's supposed to do, get as much money for his client as possible. I'd have never paid Kevin Sumlin that kind of money. What a joke. But they did, and now they're all pissed about it? Get the hell out of here, man.
I saw a joke on Twitter last night that J.J. Watt has barely raised enough money to buy out Kevin Sumlin from his contract at Texas A&M. I really only watched the conclusion of that game, the last two or three drives.
Yeah.
I was watching West Virginia, Virginia Tech. That game was captivating, even at halftime when it was 10-7. I saw a lot of things that I liked. And I don't want to fall into the trap like I did last year. I was in Austin for Notre Dame and Texas, and that felt like a classic game that's going to stand on its own for a few years. Then both those teams lost a combined, I don't even know, 12, 15 games, whatever. And yet, last night, the way West Virginia and Virginia Tech played, I thought there was a lot of physicality there. The trench play was contested. I don't know that Virginia Tech's going to love its secondary this year, but there's a lot of pieces on both of those teams, I think, that are going to wreak havoc in their own conference play.
Yeah, we'll see what West Virginia is when they get into the, shootout element that is their conference. Virginia Tech's a lot better than I thought they were, so that's good news. Fuente's a good coach, and we'll see if they give Miami a tussle for the Coastal. I can't believe, of all the options, with the results now in, that we somehow swung and missed on the hell to the nah team of the week. I mean, 3 FCS schools pulling road upset against FBS opponents. It's crazy. So, Howard, congratulations. I don't even know if the Howard UNLV game was listed. I don't think that's why. Somebody asked me, why didn't you have Howard? A lot of times those Vegas lines don't show up if it was a 45-point line wherever you could find it, but you can't find it everywhere. So, I mean, I kind of can't take the heat on that. I would have taken that, but I didn't see it.
Well, I mean, UTEP was a 42-point dog, so it's something akin to it. And if you're playing in a different classification, typically those games are just turned off.
Yeah, they're not on the board. Like Liberty knocking off Baylor, is a beautiful thing because screw Baylor. That's great. But I didn't see Liberty and Baylor. I couldn't pick them for the Hell to the Gnaw game of the week. I don't think that game was listed. You couldn't find it. They won 48-45, which is awesome. And congratulations to Liberty and Howard, which I think is awesome. But it just wasn't listed. And forgive me if I wasn't looking for James Madison in East Carolina. Listen, I'm not doing that. So you had a lot of craziness. But you know what? That's why it's difficult to actually have the Hell to the Gnaw Team of the Week happen.
There were a lot of quality games this weekend, and hopefully we get another one tonight with Tennessee and Georgia Tech back in Atlanta. But there were a lot of games that provided more than just entertainment level. There was good play this weekend, more than I thought there would be on a week one where typically you see a lot of sloppy play.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of good football on the television this weekend, and I think we got our money's worth and then some to this point.
One thing to note, we worried that this would be a big step backwards for the ACC this year, and I think through week one we would say, shaping up that way. That's toughy. A lot of people thought North Carolina would be bad. They look pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Now, NC State, South Carolina is a really weird game. NC State's the better team there, but they blow situations. But the only thing I'd say about that is I know they outgained South Carolina 2-1 and all of that, and if you watched a good chunk of that game, and I did, then you know that NC State looks like the better team. They lost because of situations. Well, that matters. And, oh, by the way, they lose situations every year. Doran sucks, and this is who they are. This is what happens with NC State. They never take advantage of that. So, okay. I don't care. I can't excuse it away. People will say, well, if you really watched, they're better. Doesn't matter that they're better. They lose 4 or 5 games a year because he's not any good.
Do you think Florida looks back fondly on the Roper road to offensive explosion and say we would at least take Roper back?
I think if you're Florida, you talk about a desperate measure. You pull your quarterback there.
I didn't think he was playing terrible.
He wasn't, and you don't do that. Just pick a quarterback and move forward. I think Felipe Franks is your guy. You start him, and you take your lumps, and you've got a guy to build for moving forward. I don't know. That speaks to McElwain's desperation there. It's an ugly, ugly offense. It has been for a number of years. There's an amazing statistic that David Hale tweeted out there today about what Florida's offense has done or not done since Tim Tebow left. And it's remarkable how many times they've failed to reach 250 yards in a game. It's nothing short of stunning.
I wish we found a support staff job for Devin Bush Sr. I really do, because that kid can play. Yeah, talk about triggering downhill, and I thought he was going to get thrown out in that first play.
He should have been, by the way.
I thought that was a targeting. But if that's not targeting, then the second one, it's the exact same play where Florida's getting reviewed.
I think we're so jaded because we've seen it be called in a way that I don't know if it's against the spirit of the rule or isn't the way that it's supposed to be executed, but we've seen Florida State, Trey Marshall in particular, and other defenders called for far less than the play that isn't called first play of the game in Florida, Michigan.
It's out of bounds, and he lowers his head. It looks like he makes a decision to lower his head into the contact.
Into the face and everything else. Yeah. I was surprised. You had a lot of people say, well, they got that right. Really? Not according to what I've seen in years past. They didn't get that right. That's fine. I'm for letting kids play because I don't, my belief on this is it is very, very rare that you see a guy truly target intentionally. I think usually it's about angles and speed. But if you're going to do it the way they've done it in the past, that would have been a time to call it. That's also why they went to review it, because somebody said, whoa, hold on. That looks a bit like things we've called in the past.
What was your takeaway of the experience up there in Atlanta, the stadium and all that kind of stuff?
I was underwhelmed. I got to be honest with you. I was completely underwhelmed. Mercedes-Benz Stadium was not all that impressive. There wasn't anything about the $1 billion they spent on it that to move me. Now, admittedly, I'm in the press box, which was okay. Better press boxes abound. It's not a dump, obviously. They just spent a lot of money. The viewing experience, I'm sure, for the fans in the stadium were very good. I can't speak to that. I've talked to people who said, yeah, it was fine. But there was really nothing unique about what was built. I didn't, when you go out to Jerry's World, it's awe-inspiring. I don't like that stadium either, in that I think it is distracting from the football. I think that the scoreboard is so, and I'm talking about Jerry's World now, is so big that you kind of diminish the play on the field, and it's very hard not to find yourself starting to kind of look up over and over and over again when you're in a stadium like that with that monstrosity. But I just feel like I've been to better stadiums that were built 15, 20 years ago than that stadium. I don't know. I don't know if everybody shares that. I think it's a structure that outside the stadium, as you approach it, depending on the angle, it definitely you're wowed by. But once you get in there,
okay,
didn't really do anything for me.
See, now when we walked into Jerry's World, I understand what you're saying about the screen. There was a whoa kind of moment.
It's a wow factor. Yeah.
Especially on game day, because we got to do a broadcast obviously there, and they showed us the blood and guts of the stadium, and it's just incredible. But to walk in,
and I'm sure that's true here too. By the way, as far as you remember when we got into Jerry's World, the internet speeds, and they showed
the breakspeedtest.net.
Well, I will tell you this: you've got no problem with the internet in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium there. Yeah.
But when you walked in on game day, the energy was just incredible. I mean, at least that much. The atmosphere, I'm assuming, was good.
Yeah, the atmosphere was great. The problem is the setup in Atlanta. It's very difficult to have an intimate tailgating setup where that is without lots and no parking really. It's you struggle. There's a really cool kind of almost like the landing sort of moment where you can come out and you see the grass leading up to, and it's nice. But that's on one side. Other than that, it's kind of
Well, maybe when they knock down the Georgia Dome, they'll be able to, build some kind of feeling around the building.
I would think something a little bit more intimate. I don't know. I wasn't all that impressed. All right, I want to go back.
More impressed with the special teams or the building?
Oh, our special teams?
Yeah, there you go.
More impressed with the building.
I was just wondering because you were dogging the building a little bit.
No. The special teams, I don't know if I haven't properly stated it. Let me make sure that you understand that it was embarrassing. It's really awe-inspiringly bad. It's not just the blocked field goal at the end of the half or the blocked punt or the fumbled kickoff return. There are so many things that went wrong in special teams, whether it's 12 men on the field, having to waste timeouts, all the different things that they did on special teams. The only thing that they're not bad at on special teams is coverage.
Yeah.
They do a good job covering kicks. That's about it.
Yeah, but there was the one decision to take it out of the end zone earlier where he's tackled inside the 15-yard line.
No. It's embarrassing. And Jimbo, as head coach, of course, it always falls in the lap of the head coach. So I can specifically say, well, Jay Graham's in charge of special teams, and I'm mad at him or whatever it might be. But look, special teams was bad last year. And it's been bad basically since Charles Kelly was elevated to defensive coordinator and no longer was in charge of special teams. So once he really had hands off of special teams, and they divvied up the responsibility to Graham, well, the special teams have been bad ever since. So you're going on 4 years now of really poor special teams play. At some point, that does fall at the feet of Jimbo Fisher. I think he would have to admit that. There's no way around it. You have got to get that remedied. It just very well cost you the game. I mean, you cannot have, especially against that team. I mean, those are the things that Alabama does to people. They're too good to give those kinds of opportunities to. That's why I was so proud of this defense, to keep you in the game after you've just gift-wrapped with these special teams blunders time and again. Alabama points.
Yeah, exactly. They held on to that ninth life for the team.
It's crazy.
For 3 possessions, and it was just a joke. And Alabama special teams could have been a talking point if we took care of business in the details that we needed to, because then we'd be talking about their kicker and the situation there. But yes, point blank, special teams have been bad for years. And I get that you work on it every day. Let's work on something different every day.
He said that, and I understand why he said that. He certainly doesn't want to give the impression that they're not working on special teams. It looks that way when you watch the game. It looks like they don't work on it at all. It looks like it's just a hodgepodge of people doing whatever the hell. But the point is, I get they do work on it. You can work on a lot of things. If you're not any good at it, you got to change your approach. At some point, we got to change the approach or the guy in charge of special teams. Ira Schoffel, warchant.com, joins us next.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Tallahassee is offering insulation grants. Why not apply for one? Did you know that the City of Tallahassee offers loans to help with the purchase of solar water heaters? Visit talgov.com/YOU for information on loans and rebates. So stay cool, go green, and save energy all summer long. A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility.
Noel fans, ESPN Tallahassee's official home for FSU watch parties in 2017 is Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway.
Francois to throw for the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown. Seminoles are going for the win.
The ESPN Tallahassee team will be on hand for every Seminole away football game with giveaways, a chance to win some great prizes, and to have a good time.
To the pylon. He's into the end zone for an FSU touchdown.
So, when the Noles hit the road, join us at Miller's Ale House on the Parkway, the official FSU watch party headquarters of your home of the best in Seminole sports talk. 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Authority.
Might I suggest the chicken taco salad from Bandito's Burritos, my friend?
In this tight labor market, finding new employees can be tough. Whether you're the business owner or an HR professional, you want access to highly qualified candidates fast. More than 3 million businesses use Indeed.com, the world's #1 job site. Whether you need entry-level or highly skilled employees, no matter the industry, with Indeed you get immediate access to a high-quality pool of talent with no long-term contracts or upfront fees. For a limited time, Indeed is offering new users a $50 credit to make their first job listing a sponsored job, with premium visibility so more candidates will see it. You want to make a great hire fast, and this exclusive offer gives you a head start. Independent research shows 6 times more hires are delivered through Indeed than any other job site, making Indeed your one-stop source for hiring. To redeem this offer, go to Indeed.com/offer. That's Indeed.com/offer. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The Colts will go with Scott Tolzien at quarterback for the opener Sunday against the Rams. Andrew Luck is still not ready to play after right shoulder surgery in January. GM Chris Ballard says there's no timetable for Luck's return. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports arbitrator Harold Henderson will not make a ruling today on the Ezekiel Elliott appeal. Elliott is fighting a 6-game suspension under the league's personal conduct policy. The suspension for Yankees catcher Gary Sanchez is reduced from 4 games to 3. He'll start serving it today against the Orioles. Sanchez was involved in that brawl with the Tigers almost 2 weeks ago.
It's official. Weekends are now reserved for football. So come watch it at B-Dubs with other fans who are all there for the same reason, to watch sports in a place packed with roaring fans and a vast menu of food. It's built for fans. It's home for football. It's Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. Happy Labor Day. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. Hey, if you do, we've got you covered. All 3 hours going to be posted both to iTunes and our own Audio Vault upon the conclusion of the program. You can email the show if you want. It's jcs979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow, WTSM app. Good for your mobile devices. And we're on YouTube if you're watching. Cheers. ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube. As we do every Monday, we bring in our good buddy, Ira Schoffel, warchant.com, the website. He joins us now. Let's talk some Florida State football. Hello, Ira. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. So I just got asked the question at the end of the hour by Tom as to what I thought about Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and I came away somewhat unimpressed. What were your thoughts?
I mean, it's nice. I wasn't like, it
didn't really do anything, does it? You just got
life-changing experience or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think the the Jerry's world, I think it's so humongous that it just it's breathtaking. And Mercedes-Benz Stadium just seemed like a super nice stadium, but not anything you haven't seen before.
Yeah, it didn't have anything that was charming. It didn't have anything that was unique. It didn't do anything where you walk in and go, well, that's different. That's awesome. No, just sort of, okay. So this cost over $1 billion, huh?
It's like a nice new car, but it wasn't I've never seen this before.
Right, yeah. I just, I'm not here to dog Mercedes-Benz Stadium all day. I'm just saying, I've been asked several times, what'd you think? Didn't really think much of anything. All right, so it's a crazy turn of events, and it changes the way we view the season. And I know tomorrow you and me and Corey, we'll have a chance to do this for 2 hours and kind of tackle all the angles. But initially, I know it seems like a disaster. It seems like all is lost. But I don't feel that way, Ira. I want to get your thoughts on where your head's at. We don't know how James Blackmon's going to play once he gets out there and it's a live game and the competition steps up and is better than Louisiana Monroe, for example. But I think they learned a lot about how good this defense is. I think they know that their offensive line's better than it was a year ago. I don't think it's a complete disaster. It just makes me sad for DeAndre Francois. What was your overview?
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think what we love about sports is that, every single person you spoke to, whether it was us or, fans, anybody I talked to going up to that game, the two big concerns were the offensive line and whether or not the defense could handle, mobile quarterback and all the weapons Alabama has and their downhill running game. And FSU does both of those pretty well. I mean, the offensive line wasn't perfect, but it was a lot better than I think it had been in the past. Alabama blitzed all night because they had to. They couldn't get a lot of pressure with their front four, and that created a lot of opportunities. Unfortunately, FSU didn't capitalize on all those, but the offensive line played really well. The defense played great, and you still lost 24-7, and you lost your starting quarterback. So it's just kind of, it's very unexpected. But nobody could have imagined the special teams would just completely fall apart the way they did, and it wasn't always the same guy or the same. It's not like one kicker missed 4 kicks. I mean, it was so many different breakdowns, and then on top of that, I don't think DeAndre played a great game. In the first quarter, early into the second quarter, I thought he was playing great. I think he was 9 of 11 for 100-something yards and a touchdown. He was making some tough throws, but he was really playing well. But the more Alabama dialed up the pressure, he didn't handle it well. And it seemed like he got a little bit flustered, and I don't think the receivers played great in some of those situations. And you had what happened. But that's kind of, to beat Alabama, your quarterback and receivers are going to have to play great because you're not going to beat them running the ball. And it didn't happen. And then, of course, obviously, DeAndre goes down. So it was just it was very much not what we expected, but it kind of makes sense when you saw it play out, I guess.
I for one, thought that the defense was a lot better than maybe I would have been willing to give them credit for. We knew the defense would be good this year, and I talked a lot about how I thought Derwin James would have a great night. And I thought he was very impactful in this game, and there were a lot of things I loved about the defense, but they're a lot better than even I had given them credit for, and they're stout against that run. I thought Noddy was incredible. Christmas played a great game too, and as the game wore on, your ends played better. Sweat played really well as the game wore on. There are things I just like about this defense that I think allows them to have a chance to win the remaining games. I'm not predicting them to win their remaining games, but I think the defense gives you a fighting chance to win every remaining game. And so I'm not willing to chalk up losses the way that so many people are after DeAndre Francois goes down due to injury. I'm not assuming they're going to lose to Miami. I don't know how Miami comes in here and moves the football in what will be a crazed crowd and a defense that knows it has to carry the day. I don't know that Louisville's going to come in here and move the ball after watching Louisville's issues against Purdue. I know it's an overreaction to a first game, but we'll see. Obviously you worry about going on the road with a freshman quarterback against Clemson, but that's a long ways from now. I'm just not chalking up losses because DeAndre Francois is down. And for all we know, and I want to get your thoughts on him, James Blackmon does some things better than DeAndre Francois. He's a better thrower of the football. He's 6'5". Some of the balls that get batted by Francois will not be batted by Blackmon. I think they're gonna be able to get their fair share of victories.
Yeah, I think it would be wrong for people to think the season's over. I mean, obviously this team has a lot going for it, like you said, especially on defense. The concern would be just the big mistakes, and that's really going to be the key. I thought the way I'd give Alabama a lot of credit for the way they handled Jalen Hurts in this game. They weren't going to let Jalen Hurts cost them the game, throwing poor passes. A lot of times it was very clear that he had it beaten into his head that if he drops back and there's nothing there, take what you can get. Don't do anything crazy, and we'll punt. We'll play field position because we've got a great punter. And they were smart about that. And I think Jimbo's going to have to be really smart with James Blackmon. I just don't think, you can, Jimbo said we're going to do what we do, and that's fair enough. But you start a true freshman quarterback, the problem would be, if he just completely falls apart. I mean, you think back to guys we've seen early in their careers making some of their first starts. They might look really good one week and then just completely fall apart the next week. And that to me is what they have to guard against is not letting his inexperience be the reason that the defense just can't win the game.
Yeah, I also don't think they're going to just do what they do. You know what I mean? He's going to call the game differently for James Blackmon. He's going to have to. I also believe they're going to run the ball more effectively. I think a lot of people today say, oh, man, they're not going to be able to run the ball because they didn't run the ball against Alabama. But I think that's a big mistake. I think there is an improvement with this line. I think that the mistake may have been going early on with Jaquez Patrick. I think you'll see more of some of the fleet of foot guys, including obviously Cam Akers. I think you'll see more out of the pistol. And I just believe they are going to have some success running the football and do a better job with that. You're right, though. You can never gauge where a true freshman quarterback's head's going to be after a couple of plays where maybe he makes a poor decision. But Jimbo will. I think Jimbo's always been real good when his back is against the wall with young quarterbacks, and that's the situation he has here. And he's got a great defense he can rely on. But what are they going to do about special teams, Ira? Because this is not just this year. Now, obviously, that was a debacle, but special teams has been a problem since Charles Kelly got elevated to DC. And from that time forward, after the 2013 season, we've seen really nothing short of shaky special teams. I know Jimbo's never going to roll a coach publicly, but that was a disaster and embarrassing. I wonder what do you think is different moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what you could do at this point right now. It's not like Jimbo's not watching special teams. Like when they do a lot of the special team stuff, Jimbo's watching it. And he said, as far as the block punt, one of the guys got too wide of a split, and he said, we've done it 29 practices and not had that happen. Well, okay, if that's true, then maybe a kid just had a brain fart on a big stage. But, it's also possible that that's been there and they just hadn't noticed it. But as far as, any major changes, I don't know what you're going to do. I mean, I think, the Gavin play, that's not on Jay Graham. I mean, if you played high school football, you should know that that's not a kick you should field. And I thought even his first run back was kind of crazy. He probably shouldn't have returned that one either. I think he was about a foot inside the end zone and had gotten good hang time. Didn't look very returnable, and he tried to bring that one back too. I just think he was trying to do too much. And as far as the punt block, again, they had a guy lined up wrong. The field goal block, I went back and watched it a bunch of times. Jimbo said it was a technique thing. A guy was supposed to kind of chip one guy and then block the other, and he just didn't chip him. So again, is that, it's if it's a scheme thing, it's a scheme thing. If it's a matter of guys not executing what they've been coached, I don't know how you change that mid-season. I mean, you can work on it more, but again, I don't know that that's. I guess my thing with a special teams coach is it's not as if he's the only guy responsible for special teams. All those guys are out there doing different parts of it. And I'm not defending Jay Graham. I just don't think it's a quick fix. I don't think it's as easy as saying, okay, the receivers aren't blocking. This was a bunch of different issues, not the same issue time after time.
It's weird, though. What's problematic, I think, for people, too, is that however it needs to get fixed and whoever is at fault is at fault. That's fine. And since we're not out there every day, we can't know what all Jimbo's looking at and not looking at. But given the fact that, for example, you brought up Keith Gavin, you're right. He should know better. But quite clearly he doesn't, because even his big return in the Orange Bowl is a mistake. It's indecisiveness. It's a delay. It's a screw up, and he just happens to truck somebody.
Yeah.
He hasn't ever looked comfortable there in the brief time that we've seen him.
But is your theory that Jay Graham is deciding who the kick returners are?
No. My theory is that somebody's ignoring the fact that he sucks back there.
Well, I'm just telling you. That's all I'm saying is, and again, you still have punt returners letting the ball drop.
Yes.
Florida State seems to lead the country in that every year.
Well, my theory would be that, of course, everything falls at the feet of the head coach. There is no question. And that's why I didn't spend an inordinate amount of time on Jay Graham solely. This is something Jimbo has to remedy, because the other thing I would say is about what Jimbo said about, well, it was a technique issue here and there was a split problem here. Man, that's simply not true. I understand that he's going to say that, but Nick Saban in the postgame press conference said, we thought we had an opportunity given the way they block it up. So he saw something on film.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, if he beats that guy, when you watch it, it looks to me like, because I went back and watched it several times, it looks to me one of the linemen looked like he was supposed to chip that guy before he went off, and he didn't. And again, now maybe their splits are too wide, maybe they've been too wide in the past, and maybe Nick Saban saw that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it was a matter of, everybody's focusing on those back two or three guys. Those guys were kind of shifting to the left. I think the problem was up on the line of scrimmage, and those guys either always line up too far apart, or that guy did on that particular play, and they were able to get through it. Again, I heard what Nick Saban said, but it's not as if they had somebody unaccounted for. The guy up there just didn't chip the guy.
Well, the frustrating thing, and I guess ultimately they'll have to remedy it, we'll see what they do, because nobody wants to, and I'm not saying you are, but nobody wants to hear Jimbo or any other coach's excuses. Special teams has been bad for multiple years for whatever reason. I don't care who's at fault. They just have been. And as you just properly noted, we continue to not field punts. This is going on several years now. We obviously have problems in the return game. About the only thing they do decently well is to cover kicks. Now, the thing that maybe they can't help, and I don't know what you do about this, but the punter himself was terrible. And I don't know what you do about a kid who you recruit who has got a booming leg, who we've all seen look really good at times, go out there and perform that way. It's disappointing. I don't know if there's a magic potion or a thing you say or what you do when a kid, that seems to me, Ira, that it would be between his ears.
Yeah, you would think. His technique has never been his strong suit. He didn't punt. He wasn't a punter coming up. He was an athlete that kind of started becoming a punter, I think, his senior year of high school. They just were enamored by his leg strength. And, again, punter is one of those positions where you're not devoting 3 or 4 scholarships to. Maybe one, which FSU does have one, They had a walk-on who I thought looked pretty good in preseason. That one open practice we saw, and we've seen him a couple other times in the open portions. That looks pretty good, and he doesn't have the leg strength, and maybe he's not as consistent either. I don't know, but yeah, that was ridiculous. He punted 6 times, not one of them went over 40 yards. Besides, the 12-yarder, which was ridiculous. There were several other, when you're punting from your over 25 or 30, that's when you've got to let loose. And you're not going to kick it into the end zone, and even those were 30, 35-yard punts. So no, it was a disaster for him too. And I just think it was one of those nights. I don't think, what's funny again about special teams breakdowns is they have been bad for the last couple of years, no doubt, but it's always like different things. It's not like it's always one thing. It's been several different things, and again, maybe it's. What one thing Coach Bowden used to do for special teams coordinators was they didn't have a special teams coach necessarily, or they did, but each coach had a different discipline. Like one coach would handle the punter, one coach would handle returns, one coach would handle this. Maybe looking at that. But again, I don't think there's one common theme that, okay, this guy's not doing it right. I just think that they're obviously not either repping it enough or there's not enough attention to detail.
I think in some ways that feels worse. I hate knowing there's just a multitude of problems. I'd rather you say, well, this one area continues to trouble them. They're going to have to fix that one thing. But when we sit here and go, man, there's like 25 things wrong, it feels overwhelming.
Well, and that's, the thing about that game is, man, and again, I came away from that game more than anything just really impressed by, Nick Saban and that staff, his staff of 75 assistant coaches, and Jeremy Pruitt. Because, and I kind of used to kind of dispel him a little bit during the 2013 season and saying that, you or I could have coached that defense. But, the reality is, man, they're big time. I mean, they countered everything, Florida State did. And, I think after the first quarter, but early into the second quarter, like I said, DeAndre Francois had thrown for about 100-something yards. But the rest of the game, he was like 10 of 22 for like 70 yards or something. They brought more pressure. The linemen did a better job of getting up in the passing lanes. They just did so many things right. And like you said, if you make a mistake, they capitalize on it.
So what can you tell me about James Blackmon? What can we tell our listeners here? Obviously 6'5", that jumps off the page, but he's skinny as a rail, so you hold your breath when he gets hit. But we saw him in the open practice, and obviously he throws a beautiful football. In fact, the interesting thing was in the open practice, we kind of had our eyes drawn to that second half of the field, because there were so many nice passes being thrown to Temeron Terry. And over and over we kept saying, well, who's the kid throwing that 6'5" or 6'4" receiver the ball? And wow, might they find some action this year? So we know we were impressed early with just him as a passer, but what do we know about him?
Man, he is he's definitely a big time passer. There's no doubt about it. And from talking to people at the camp last year, because they had seen him on tape, they liked him. He came to the Jimbo's camp last summer, and they just were blown away. Like Jimbo could not stop gushing about him and how impressed they were with him as a passer. And you see it when you watch practices. Now he's not perfect. Again, as a freshman, there was a couple days out there this preseason when we were out there, and and he missed a couple throws. And I remember, Jimbo just kind of getting on to him about, man, did you even loosen up before this? Did you warm up? So it's not like he's been God's gift to quarterbacking. I mean, he's had his moments too, but he's obviously got a lot of talent. The players, we talked to today, we talked to several players who said he's got some natural leadership skills about him. He's a tough kid. They like those things about him, obviously. So that's all, it's all impressive. Again, I don't think, but it's just so hard to know. I mean, like DeAndre Francois last year, even though he was a redshirt freshman, I remember Randy Sanders saying that they didn't know how he would take a hit because, the quarterbacks don't get hit in practice. Well, that's one thing we don't know. I mean, James Blackmon, obviously he got hit in high school, but not by guys that he's going to see in a couple weeks against Miami or NC State. So again, there's just so many variables that I don't even know that Jimbo Fisher knows the answers to, but it clearly says a lot about what they think about him. The fact that Jimbo was ready to come out today and say, yeah, he's the guy, because, that's a stark thing to hear for J.J. Costantino, And I think it's also, again, he could have played it coy and said, we don't know what we're going to do. It's going to be a game time decision. That's something he's been done in the past. For him to come out and say it's James Blackmon, I think A, speaks to what he believes about James Blackmon, and also B, he wants the team to know he believes in him.
Well, yeah, and I think it's interesting. It's a great conversation to have, and we'll have to continue it tomorrow, and I'll continue it here today. But, I mean, for my man to go from fourth string to second string just like that and not be an early enrollee, I mean, I would think it's a greater discussion. I don't know that DeAndre Francois, we'll see what happens at the end of this year. It's going to be an interesting quarterback battle moving forward. Let's put it that way. If he's that quick to learn the offense and he's that quick to be elevated to starting quarterback after an injury, that means Jimbo thinks, as you just pointed out, the world of this kid's talents. So,
well, and one other thing to touch on that, and like you said, we can talk about it tomorrow on headlines. But the other thing that's impressive about him is Jimbo really raved about how much he wants to learn and how often when he watches film he comes back with questions and really wants to learn. Now, think about the fact that he came into this year, like you said, fourth string, a true freshman with a third-year starter at quarterback and then a fourth-year guy as a second-teamer. A lot of times other guys have come in and realized they probably weren't going to play much and didn't really take that first year all that seriously. For him to have that mindset, even though there's a real strong likelihood he wouldn't play, that definitely says a lot about him.
One of those guys was DeAndre Francois.
Hey, might be a couple of guys on this team.
It's really interesting. Hey, good talking to you, Ira. We'll talk again tomorrow.
All right, Jeff. See you.
Take care, buddy. All right, Schoffel, warchant.com. All right, let's get on to this point because I'm just going to say it right now. I'm of the opinion DeAndre Francois never starts at quarterback for Florida State again. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Reasonable offer. I'll do whatever it takes to get myself off the roof. Like 0% interest for 6 years on America's #1 selling SUV, the Nissan Rogue, and up to $5,300 in total savings on the red-hot Nissan Altima, or take up to $10,500 off MSRP on the Nissan Titan with America's best factory truck warranty, 5 years or 100,000 miles, bumper to bumper. And as always, our exclusive lifetime warranty. And they wonder why Tallahassee is a Nissan town, a Kraft Nissan town. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Football season is here, and it's time to score big and get in on the action with MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is an industry-leading website and the best place for you to cash in on all the insane last-minute drives, huge upsets, and heart-pounding finishes. Join now, and MyBookie will match your deposit with up to a 100% bonus. They have in-game live betting on nearly every sporting event, plus a user-friendly mobile site so you never miss a single play. Are you sick and tired of getting the runaround when you ask for a payout? Come join MyBookie today today. With decades of expertise, no hassle payouts, and no fine print, you'll experience the greatest customer service in the business, guaranteed. Use promo code RADIO to activate your bonus of up to 100%. Call 844-900-2387 or visit mybookie.ag to open an account. That's 844-900-BETS or go online to mybookie.ag and use promo code RADIO. Win with the best only at MyBookie. Sign up today.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
License number MP46050.
At Whole Foods Market, we believe in real food. Food that's full of nutrients. Naturally vivid and colorful, fresh and delicious. Food that connects you to your body, to the seasons, and to the natural world. We believe food should nourish you and help you think. It should help you feel calm, clear-headed, and strong. It should help you do more, sleep better, and wake up happier. That's food that lives up to its name. We believe in real food. Whole Foods Market.
Woohoo! Banditos!
Huh? Where?
Banditos burritos, baby.
You wake up to birds chirping before the alarm even starts to ring. It's 6 a.m. and dawn's barely here. A choir of birds singing in your ear. It was cute at first, but now it's just the worst. Wrap it up, guys. When your morning is hell, just go to Taco Bell.
When you've had a morning, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's Breakfast Crunch Wrap. A whole breakfast wrapped up and grilled to eat on the go. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Obviously, I just said something before we went to break that has caused a bit of a stir. I want you to know that that's not stated in the sense that I am making a kind of a over the top salacious comment, some sort of hyperbole. I don't mean it to be. I'm giving you my honest opinion. I'll expound further here in a second, but let's do this. It's basically the final half an hour of a work day, if it weren't a holiday.
Right. For us, it's the final 90 minutes.
So this is the perfect time for Beer 30. Presented by our fine friends at the 7th Hill Tap Room on Appalachian Parkway.
Can 'em up, pour 'em out.
I'll just have a cup of coffee.
There it is. It's Beer 30, brought to you by the 7th Hill Tap Room on Appalachian Parkway.
Tonight is Mix and Match Monday, featuring $1 off all 6-packs of Mix and Match craft beers, and all bucket specials are $2 off. That's a good thing.
Don't forget about the Cup Club at the 7th Hill Tap Room. For just $10, you can get your 7th Hill Tap Room Cup, which gives you $1 off all drafts from 7 p.m. to close from Monday through Wednesdays and all day Saturday as the college football is going on. Pays for itself.
Our thanks to our friends at the 7th Hill Tap Room, right underneath Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, where you can always find the newest and freshest Florida craft beer. That's a good thing. All right, so I said I'm of the mindset that DeAndre Francois does not suit up again as starting quarterback for Florida State ever again. And that may seem extreme. And again, let me reiterate before we expound on this and have this discussion further. First of all, I have no idea if Tom agrees with me or not. And I just stated that because I've been thinking about it a lot today, and I am of that mindset currently. But I'm rooting for that kid to get healthy as quickly as possible and to have a full recovery, obviously. And to give himself a chance to get back on the field for Florida State. And I like him, and I admire his toughness without question. All right, so let me just make that abundantly clear. I don't think he's a a bad kid or anything like that. And I'm not rooting for him to never play again, okay? Just my opinion is that he won't. And that speaks more to what I think is a tough break for this kid. Okay, it is very strange and very rare, and it's a unique situation where a guy comes in at quarterback and he's not an early enrollee, and Jimbo Fisher within weeks begins to rave of this kid, right? And it's very rare that a kid like that then comes in and is fourth-string quarterback and has the head coach talk about his ability to learn the playbook, talk about him as a passer, his unique skill set, to then begin to posit a couple weeks back that perhaps Blackmon would be the backup quarterback heading into the season ahead of a guy like J.J. Cosentino, who's been here for 25 years, ahead of Bailey Hockman, who was here in the spring. Now, I know Bailey had an injury during fall camp, so that set him back. But nonetheless, what James Blackmon has done has taken advantage of the opportunity afforded him. And this is where I think it plays out poorly for DeAndre Francois' chances to get back on the field. If James Blackmon has a good season, if he begins to, again, ascend the way that he has in such a short period of time on the depth chart, if he does that on the field, if you begin to see him play better and better as the year goes along, and by season's end, if he looks poised, in control of the offense, we already know he's a great passer. We already know he throws a pretty ball. He's also 6'5", and DeAndre Francois is 6 feet, 6'1". That is a disadvantage in a battle for quarterback when you're going against a 6'5" guy who's not having his passes batted down, when he can see guys break open because he can look over the line of scrimmage, when he's a better passer of the football to begin with. I'm sorry, it just seems to me that if this guy's going to learn the offense as quickly as he already has in one fall camp, all signs point to him getting better each week of the season. Now, are there mitigating circumstances to this discussion, to this projection? Absolutely. He could get hurt. Knock on wood, I hope it doesn't happen. Lots of things could happen. He could be in over his head. It could be that he gets out there and the game's too fast for him and he gets overwhelmed and the confidence that he's shown in camp begins to wane, and suddenly he's not the player that allowed Jimbo Fisher to tab him to be the starting quarterback going into this game against Louisiana Monroe. Maybe he suddenly doesn't play with the same sort of confidence that caught Jimbo Fisher's eye. If, when the bullets fly live, he struggles. But I'm not of the mindset that's going to happen. I believe he's going to play well. How quickly will he play well? That's the bigger question. Will he play well against Miami? I don't know. Will he play well against NC State? Will he play well against Louisville? These are things we don't know. But I bet you, and I am betting on this if I'm going to make the statement that I just made about Frenchie never playing starting quarterback again at Florida State, I bet you by the time we play Florida, he's pretty good.
It'll be nice. There are going to be inconsistencies. I think we can guarantee that right now.
Absolutely.
Unless he's something that you just never see until you see him the first time. But it's hard to make a statement like that. I get all the evidence that you're stacking together to make the case for it. Every bit of evidence is logical. The idea, and Ira just said it too last segment, that Jimbo didn't have to name him today as the second or as the starting quarterback from the second string position. He could have decided, well, after more thought, we're going to evaluate things on Saturday. Going to give everybody a couple of series to perform, and we'll see how the offense looks with each player. Want to put some things on film to consider moving forward for, the next part of the month where we face Miami, NC State, two really good football teams in our conference. I mean, you could see where the talking points are right there in front of Jimbo if he wants to take them. And he didn't. So, yeah, that means something. That means something's there. And if you look at what we saw in the open practice and what you see on his high school film, he can push the ball down the field. And the one thing I would say that you didn't mention that may be hopeful, that may be lending towards where you're going, this group of receivers, the height, the skill, lends itself towards somebody who can push the football down the football field.
Take chances on jump balls with big receivers. Auden Tate, obviously Keith Gavin, big receivers that when given an opportunity can go up and make a play on a football. And a freshman quarterback is going to take chances trying to get the ball down the field and ask a receiver to make a big play on it. He's going to make mistakes, and I'm going to need those receivers with a larger catch radius to go get it. I'm telling you, I think that we're going to see the passing game to some extent as the season goes on do some things that it doesn't do under DeAndre Francois.
Yeah, another point you made when you talked with Ira, not necessarily right here, is Jimbo will call the game differently. He can say what he wants about we do what we do. Well, yeah, of course, by definition, anytime you do something, you're doing what you do. But when E.J. Manuel came in for an injured Christian Ponder, back in 2010, the game was called completely differently than was called for Christian Ponder. You might say the playbook had 15 to 20% of all of its little intricacies. When E.J. Manuel came in, they called a lot more quarterback runs. Everything was much more simple. So I think the game's going to be called more simply for James Blackmon. And I really think you got a superstar tailback in Cam Akers in the making, and he'll have his inconsistencies and growing pains too. But I think you can rely on the running game more than was indicated on Saturday at Alabama.
I believe that too.
At the same time, Jimbo's offense does get complicated. It requires an awful lot of the quarterback, and you're facing a lot of good front sevens in this schedule, especially in 2 and 3 weeks from now. So I have to hesitate to see how he handles adversity in the moment.
Yeah.
He was playing high school football last year. So that's a lot to ask from a kid.
And we don't know that, and that's why I say there's a caveat to what I just stated, which was that I believe we probably will not see DeAndre Francois start at quarterback again for Florida State. It's because I believe James Blackmon, as of right now, has been giving indicators of being a very quick learner. We already know he's a great passer. If we protect him and he doesn't get hurt, I believe he's going to go on and grow as the year goes on. It doesn't mean that he's going to come in and look better than DeAndre Francois does currently right away.
That's an important point, though.
Yeah, I want people to understand this. I'm not saying that, hey, Saturday you're going to go, my God. Well, maybe you will because it's ULM. But, I don't think you're going to say Saturday, why wasn't he declared the starter from day one? No. It's going to be a work in progress. And again, this is not a knock on Francois. It's a compliment to Blackmon and what he's achieved in a very short period of time. And that I think, again, Jimbo is showing unbelievable amounts of confidence to announce this the way that he has. He told me in the interview you heard last hour, and you'll hear again in the 5 o'clock hour, that he thought, at this point, Cosentino had his best camp yet. So you have a guy who's been here, who's been in actual football games, who is, from a weight standpoint, like 100 pounds heavier, just about, or so it seems, right? Who has had opportunities to certainly soak it all in, understand the offense, and rep it time and again, that you would think logically would be the first guy off the bench, and already he's been surpassed by James Blackmon. I can't ignore that my head coach, who's the play caller, quarterback coach, and former quarterback himself, is already telling me by the announcement that James Blackmon is the starting quarterback that he believes that kid's future is that of a star. That's what he's telling you when he does this. Now, listen, we get into this bad habit of comparing every future very good quarterback at Florida State to the last one that was here, that broke records, won the Heisman and a national championship. I'm not saying he's Jameis Winston or Chris Winkie or Charlie Ward, but he could be a very good to great college quarterback, and we'll see. But I think it speaks volumes that Jimbo Fisher is saying, you know what? I'm going with the kid. I like him. I like him so much that he went from 4th string to 2nd string like that, and then I didn't hesitate as soon as my quarterback went down to announce he's my starter. That tells me an awful lot. Maybe I'm being presumptuous. Maybe you don't share that opinion. That's okay. That's all right. We can disagree. That's where I'm at right now. That's where this opinion comes from.
Yeah, I would just say, if he had something close to the same kind of camp that Cosentino had, then you would go with Blackmon in the situation.
Of course you would.
Well, what's the upper end of what Cosentino brings to the table from a performance standpoint?
Yeah, but it would also tell me that, Cosentino's growth has been static. I don't think I think Blackmon's going to continue to improve.
To put in simpler terms, how much did he have to do to actually take the job from JJ? We just got done killing him all summer long.
But we don't know. We don't know. Jimbo just said Cosentino had his best camp yet. I don't know what that looks like. We're not at camp. We can't see it. I have no idea. I do think, though, again, what we did see very briefly of James Blackmon was very impressive. It just was. It was very impressive. So it's not like, we're just kind of, I'm going to have to take coach's word for it. We saw him.
No, the ball that he throws is incredible, and the football gets on you real quick if you're a receiver, too, and that's one thing that we did. You're right. Our eyes were, all of a sudden training
it was
from
drawn.
the left hand.
We went from looking over here at DeAndre and the ones to that kid, and we said almost universally across the board, the media that was there that day went, who's that kid?
Well, yeah, we were talking. I know what I said. I said, man, I'll say one thing for those two over there, and it's JJ and Blackmon. I said that football will get on you in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
You don't have a choice but to catch the thing. It's going to kill you. It's going to go right through you.
It doesn't mean he's not going to make terrible mistakes of judgments. It doesn't mean the speed of the game isn't going to overwhelm him. It doesn't mean that he's going to have moments where we think, oh, he's a long way off. My projection on this has to do with the incremental growth that we'll see from this start to the end of the year, which gives him a distinct advantage going into camp, going into spring football. And we also don't know, and again, I'm rooting for the young man to recover quickly, but we don't know with a torn patellar tendon just how quickly and how comfortably DeAndre Francois is going to be able to compete in the spring. So if he's still even a little bit injured, and not ready to give it a full go, and he's been out since game number 1, and this other kid starts all the remaining games and then is fully healthy and can't. Again, a lot of things have to happen. We can't know. He may get hurt. Who knows? Knock on wood, it doesn't happen. And again, for those that kind of catch it in bits and pieces, I have no problem with DeAndre Francois. I love his toughness, and I hate that he just got hurt. This isn't really a shot at him in any way.
But you're of the mindset that we don't make another quarterback change between now and the end of the regular season, health being a constant. See, I don't know. He could go out there for 2 or 3 drives in the Miami game, and you go, what in the bleep is that?
I'm also giving Jimbo Fisher a lot of credit here. I think he does a great job with young quarterbacks, inexperienced quarterbacks, guys that he has to, think back when Ponder got hurt and he had to go to EJ and the way he called that game and how quickly EJ looked like he could be on the radar as a guy that and I know just in terms of how he was recruited and what his status was, but Jimbo calls games for young quarterbacks because Jimbo was a quarterback. He knows what it is to be in that situation. He calms those guys. He calls a pretty simplistic game early on for those guys, lets them build their confidence, and get them to a place then when he can put a little bit more on them. If you're telling me the kid's a quick learner, if the head coach is telling me, which he did, that he's a quick learner, I think it's a safe assumption to suggest that 6 games from now, he's going to know a lot more and be capable of a lot more.
Yeah, that's the most fair point about this by far is that it's out of the realm of possibility for true freshmen until now to be named a starter or a primary backup. It's just that's not the case. When Jameis was here, he was redshirting the whole way. There's legends about him going to Jimbo's office and saying, I could play right now on this 2012 team.
Well, I think he probably could.
He might have been able to, but
he probably could have.
It wasn't even on the radar,
No, wouldn't have been fair to him. Jimbo would tell you that wouldn't have been fair to him.
Correct. Well, but he's telling you it's fair to Blackmon. He's telling you it's fair to Blackmon. In this situation, it's fair to call him that quarterback instead of saying, well, we're going to work out 2 or 3 players. That's where I do totally agree with you. And the book on Blackmon coming out of high school, which again, he's part of this February's class, is that, man, he's got all of the physical tools and then some, but he's a project. If you can work on the details of being a quarterback, then you might have something here. Well, it sounds like at least through his first couple of months on campus, from a detail standpoint, he's impressed the head coach enough to at least give it a go.
He's been great in practice, and the other part of that quote-unquote project is the fact that he's skinny as a rail. So the big part of this was trying to get some weight on him so that he could handle being hit, and that is the big I don't know factor in all this. For me to project that, that's fine. That's an opinion. That's what I think is going to happen, that he's going to grow and get better, and he's already shown us something to this extent that the head coach feels that comfortable with him. But when you're that skinny, I don't know if you hold up, and maybe he won't, and I knock on wood that he doesn't get hurt, of course, but let's see. Let's see what he does as a passer. Let's see what he does between the ears in terms of picking up this offense, understanding what Jimbo's asking of him, and how quickly he shows those steps forward. I think it's going to be pretty quick.
The funny part is we're talking about, is Blackmon the answer? What does the next year look like, and will he be the starter moving forward because of his quick learning curve? To me, I'm saying, hey, the answer is use Cam Akers more. Let's use that kid more.
Well, sure, the way you call the game is going to change. I'm not wanting a kid to go out there and have to throw the ball 45 times. You're playing to your defense either way. Your defense is loaded. I think that we can say it's probably going to be the strength of the team the rest of the year. There's a whole other aspect of this season that I want to talk about that this injury creates, and a dynamic in the locker room and a dynamic on game day that shifts now that DeAndre Francois is out, where the onus is on that defense and the onus is on the upperclassmen to take a big step forward. And we can talk about that because I think it adds to the intrigue of this season. I hate to see an injury occur, but let's just be honest. I think it adds to the at least the coverage of this and the week-to-week excitement you feel about going to games and really kind of, frankly, cheering on your team. They need you. James Blackmon needs us. I mean, I could do the old cry, the Sean McGuire needs our help. James Blackmon needs our help, and he's going to need his teammates' help, and he's going to need the stands, the fans, the people who support this program's help. Is he going to struggle some? Sure.
Yeah, but he got it already from the Miami game. It's an APM kick. You can't change that. So he's going to get help for his first big-time game.
This place is going to go crazy even for ULM. You watch this. It's created a whole different dynamic.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Visit VeranoAC.com. Florida license number CAC 057652.
When it comes to live gaming excitement, Creek Entertainment Gretna is your hometown headquarters. With live poker and simulcast race betting, you've got more winning opportunities right here close to home. Plus, we now offer 3-card poker and Pai Gow in our card room. Satisfy big appetites at Stables, featuring hot and cold sandwiches, salads, and weekend specials. There's always something exciting going on at Creek Entertainment Gretna. I-10, exit 174, Gretna, Florida.
We have more cars than we had last year. You want to put some up here? Then we're going to need a crane again. Yes, that was me, Chris Kraft, up on the roof of the dealership last week looking for a place to store our overflow inventory. But this year we have the perfect storm here at Kraft Nissan because while we have over 400 cars and trucks on the ground, it is also our model year closeout. And everyone knows that the best deals on new cars come when a dealer needs to move inventory. Combine that with model year-end closeout incentives and you get the perfect storm of huge savings. And my managers are threatening to keep me up on the roof until we sell a bunch of cars and trucks. So make me a reasonable offer. I'll do whatever it takes to get myself off the roof. Like 0% interest for 6 years on America's #1 selling SUV, the Nissan Rogue, and up to $5,300 in total savings on the red-hot Nissan Altima, or take up to $10,500 off MSRP on the Nissan Titan with America's best factory truck warranty, 5 years or 100,000 miles bumper to bumper. And as always, our exclusive lifetime warranty. And they wonder why Tallahassee is a Nissan town, a Kraft Nissan town. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
No fans, ESPN Tallahassee's official home for FSU watch parties in 2017 is Miller's Ale House on Appalachie Parkway.
Francois to throw for the end zone. It is caught.
The ESPN Tallahassee team will be on hand for every Seminole away football game with giveaways, a chance to win some great prizes, and to have a good time.
To the pylon, he's into the end zone for an FSU touchdown.
So, when the Noles hit the road, join us at Miller's Ale House on the Parkway, the official FSU watch party headquarters of your home of the best in Seminole sports talk. 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Authority.
You wake up to birds chirping before the alarm even starts to ring. It's 6 a.m. and dawn's barely here. A choir of birds singing in your ear. It was cute at first, but now it's just the worst. Wrap it up, guys. When your morning is hell, just go to Taco Bell.
When you've had a morning, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's Breakfast Crunch Wrap. A whole breakfast wrapped up and grilled to eat on the go. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world.
Roger that.
Get charged up for what's coming next anytime, anywhere with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
RCD Shell knows how to keep you cool and refreshed. All 20-ounce Pepsi and Mountain Dew products are 2 for $2.22. That's right, 2 for $2.22. And 28-ounce Gatorade is buy one, get one free. It's more fun with Pepsi and Dew, so bring on the bubbles with these cool prices at RCD Shell.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's funny. I like to see the responses. Not so much just because that I figured people. I mean, if you misread that, certainly it could be taken as sort of a knock on DeAndre Francois, whose toughness is legendary. But it's not that. That's for sure. It would be an opinion about what I think is going to happen moving forward. And you know, for the most part, it's good to see, too. For example, I crack up at this. Walt writes, before getting upset with Jeff Cameron Show, remember, it's an ESPN show, and these guys aren't football experts. It's entertainment. Who would be upset about my opinion that James Blackmon will be the starter moving forward and that DeAndre Francois won't start? I mean, Blackman's younger. If he starts the rest of the season and he plays well, he's not going to lose the job. It's pretty simple. Not rocket science there.
Well, that's the thing. You know, it's tough to talk about in the wake of an injury, but you got to be honest. You know, DeAndre lost composure in this football game. He just plainly lost composure. When the avalanche of momentum was happening, he forced things. He made 2 boneheaded decisions. I don't know about that Gavin come back thing. You know, that's the body language in the aftermath is, Keith, I need you to break back on the ball. Man, those throws are covered. And mind you, even before we don't get the PI call in the end zone, there's an interception that should be taken the other way for at least a couple of yards on our final drive of the first half. So DeAndre's performance in this game, I was looking and hoping, we talked about this all preseason long, the inaccuracy, to talk about the inaccuracy. I thought, well, you're asking a true freshman who doesn't trust he's not going to get blown up.
Well, the third down throw prior to the fourth down throw that he doesn't see, the fourth down throw that he never throws was a touchdown, and he doesn't see it. I think that's a height thing. And then the third down throw to Nooney Murray, which would have moved the chains and set you up for 1st and 10, is a terrible throw.
And Nooney's body language still sucks.
Yeah, he's got to. I wish he would get better about that. I agree. Listen, there are some weaknesses to DeAndre's game that are frustrating, and they're facets of his game that I don't know we're going to get that much better. He's a good college quarterback. Would he ever be a great one? I don't think so. I think he'd be good. And you can win a lot of games with him. You could go to a college football playoff, and certainly all of that, plus his toughness, plus his work ethic and his courage in the pocket and all those things, that's all self-evident. Yeah.
Hell yeah. You could get to the college football playoff with DeAndre Francois.
Sure
I mean,
you can.
The throw he makes to Tate over the middle of the field, and early in that first half, you go, whoa. I mean, that's in you? That kind of throw. And he made a lot last year where we look back on the top 25 games and go, man, I forgot. He absolute dimes. He would get in stretches. But the play is still spotty.
Yeah.
So if the play is still spotty, that means it's gettable if you're one of the other quarterbacks on the roster. And Blackmon now has 3 months to make his case. So, yeah, I suppose it's fair that way.
That's the point I'm making, is that he's got an open audition for the rest of the year, and that it's not going to be devoid of pitfalls, but rather that he's got time and opportunity and talent. And that should lead, I would think, to huge amounts of growth. Be awfully tough to overcome going into the next year's camp. Final hour forthcoming. Stay with.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Gold has never been worth zero. Capital Gold would like to introduce you to the Home Storage Gold IRA. It's a self-directed IRA set up with all the protection and tax benefits of an LLC. But the big difference in this IRA is you invest in gold and you hold it in your possession. You can't do that with stocks. That's security. You can transfer any type of IRA hassle-free in days. Please call right now and learn more, and we'll waive the $500 setup fee and give you a free safe to store your gold. Call 800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. That's 800-515-6302.
Football is here, Tallahassee, and if you're not watching the games at Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out. With over 28 TVs, you'll never miss a second of the action. Kick your week off with Monday Night Football, where you'll get 2-for-1 wells, calls, and drafts all night long. Then there's Tuesday Night Trivia with Professor Jimmy. Go win yourself some money. What about lunch? Weekdays, pick from over 20 menu items for just $7.50, including a drink. What you doing for Thursday Night Football? How about the Fourth Quarter, where you'll get $2.25 domestic drafts, $2.75 domestic bottles, and $4 Jaeger bombs. No weekend would be complete without Bubbles and Brunch. From 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., get all the mimosas and Bloody Marys you can drink and a breakfast for $18.99. Can you say Uber? Knowles, Bucks, Jags, or Finns, no matter who your favorite team is, take it to 2033 North Monroe Street and watch them at Tallahassee's favorite football hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill.
The Knolls are heating up, and so are the Makita deals at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, your Big Bend Makita Pro Center. The Build Your Own Kit promo is here with many options to choose from. Buy a Makita Dual Base Starter Kit with bag, 2 5-amp-hour batteries, and pick your 2 bare tools. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, your professional and serious do-it-yourself shop. 1110 Stuckey Ave, Tallahassee, or 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Call them at 580-1200 in Tallahassee or 926-1144 in Crawfordville. Online at CTF UF.NU.
The big game is almost here, but you can't afford to go because ticket prices are through the roof. Don't worry, we got your back. Anytix.com offers you the lowest price tickets, guaranteed. Anytix.com doesn't mark up tickets. Anytix.com has zero. That's right, no buyer, seller, or service fees. For a small monthly fee of $9.99, you get access to all their wholesale tickets. Go to Anytix.com today. That's Anytix, Tixx. Enter the coupon code ESPN Tally and get 20% off your subscription. Anytix.com, changing the way you buy tickets.
Shop Lowe's this Labor Day and find great deals for your home inside and out. Refresh your walls or renew your deck with $10 to $40 off paint, exterior stains, and resurfacers. And if you've been craving new appliances, get up to 40% off select appliance special values on some of the best brands in the business. All projects have a starting point. Start with Lowe's. Paint offer valid 8/24 through 9/6 via rebate. Appliance offer valid 8/24 through 9/13. Exclusions apply. See store for details. U.S. only.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio. WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The Colts will go with Scott Tolzien at quarterback for the opener Sunday against the Rams. Andrew Luck is still not ready to play after right shoulder surgery in January. GM Chris Ballard says there's no timetable for Luck's return. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports arbitrator Harold Henderson will not make a ruling today on the Ezekiel Elliott appeal. Elliott is fighting a 6-game suspension under the league's personal conduct policy. The suspension for Yankees catcher Gary Sanchez is reduced from 4 games to 3. He'll start serving it today against the Orioles. Sanchez was involved in that brawl with the Tigers almost 2 weeks ago.
It's official. Weekends are now reserved for football. So come watch it at B-Dubs with other fans who are all there for the same reason, to watch sports. In a place packed with roaring fans and a vast menu of food. It's built for fans. It's home for football. It's Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. Happy Labor Day, everybody. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do miss something, remember this. All 3 hours posted every day upon the conclusion of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always email the show if you like. It's jcs at 97.espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameron Show. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. Also, if you're looking for the show on YouTube, it's ESPN Tallahassee. So we're all good, and it's been an interesting day and a busy day. Obviously, if you're just hopping in your car, let's say, and you missed most of this, let's recap. Florida State falls to Alabama. That in and of itself isn't shocking. Disappointing, sure. I actually thought Alabama would win the game. Some of what I thought would happen happened. Some other things happened that I didn't think would happen. But at the end of the day, I don't care as much about that. It's about what happens moving forward. Here's what I mean. It's not. I mean, if you go into a game assuming a loss, which is what I did, then what you do is you analyze that and you talk about what does it mean moving forward now that it's actually been played. And I actually came away from the game feeling really good about what happened, save for the devastating injury to DeAndre Francois, which nobody wants to see that. And obviously the special teams play, which was an unmitigated disaster. So this is a very easy game to analyze because on the one hand, Florida State's offense and defense went toe-to-toe with Alabama. I guess we could use this analogy, Tom. I mean, some days you don't score when you play a round of golf, but you do a lot of things really well. And you leave the course having shot a 90-something, upset with that overall score, but you're able to say with great certainty and confidence, I hit the ball well, I was solid tee to green, I just couldn't make putts. Really struggled on the green today, way too many 3 putts. But the next time you go play golf, you feel pretty good standing over the ball on that number 1 tee because you played so well off the tee and with your irons. I feel like Florida State left that field on Saturday night disappointed in the score, obviously very sad and frustrated and devastated to some extent, as you would be anytime somebody gets hurt, but felt really good about where they are defensively without question, felt very good that the offensive line had taken a big step forward and that there were emerging stars. You know, we thought Izzo was going to have a big year. I think there's evidence he's going to have a big year. I think the young receivers that you're asking to take the next step forward, 2 of the 3 really did. I think you've got a star developing in Cam Akers in the backfield, and you feel good about what you have back there to begin with in terms of a rotation of guys that we'll see moving forward. Jaquez Patrick may not be the guy that carries the load, but he's a good blocker in pass protection. I think he could be a good lead blocker in certain formations that you might want to use. And I think, again, that outside of special teams and outside of that injury, you walk out of there feeling all right about what's possible for this team. The big question mark is how is a true freshman going to handle now the pressure of being the starting quarterback at Florida State, which Jimbo Fisher announced he would be today. James Blackmon gets the nod. It does speak very highly of James Blackmon that he walked onto campus not as an early enrollee, but a guy that's basically been here for what, a month, a little over? And he's gone from 4th string to 2nd string to now starter. Now he starts because of the injury to Francois, but the fact that the coach has that much confidence in him tells me that day in, day out, he showed a lot of promise. We saw him in the open practice, and as a 6'5 thrower, he's a thing of beauty to watch. Throws a pretty ball, is a big kid that can see over the line, skinny as a rail, big as in tall. We'll see how he handles it when we're in a game situation and he gets confused. But I trust Jimbo will call a good game for a young quarterback. He's done it in the past. I think he'll put him in positions to succeed, and this defense will have to carry the day, and I think they're more than equipped to do so.
To carry out the analogy, though, about good ball striking and your short game, failing you, this would involve a couple of 4 putts, a lot of 3 putts, and your short game hasn't been good for a little while. It's been a few rounds of golf since your short game has been something that you can brag about and allows you to score. I think that's the frustrating point here. I didn't expect a loss. I expected us to be able to go toe-to-toe with Alabama. I thought we did. And, the question that many had is, do we belong with the elite? Does this group belong with the elite? Are we physical enough to belong with the elite? The answer is yes. We were cheated out of a good finish. We were cheated out of something that could have gone all 4 quarters at 1 score. Maybe we would have taken the lead. Should have had the lead at halftime. We talked at halftime of this game, and I thought we were the better team through 2 quarters. Large stretches of the game, we controlled momentum. I really believe that, and that's what we saw. Offensive line held up well. That bodes well for a young quarterback who's going to have to take over as a true freshman. They did a good job, and Jimbo schemed it up well to help out with chipping like he talked about. Jaquez Patrick will be important moving forward for that. I think that only bolsters the importance of him being on the field in obvious passing situations. He's got good hands, too, out of the backfield. But I just, I'm all at once buoyed by what I saw.
Right, but you're mad we lost the game because there were opportunities to win the game.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Hey, listen, it's not to ignore the catastrophe that was this special teams on a night where the special teams unit, on a night where so many things went right and you could have had opportunities to win the football game, but they really didn't allow for it. I mean, because of poor special teams, whether it's a blocked field goal, which would have given you a 10-10 tie at half, whether it's a blocked punt, which set up a very easy scoring situation in the red zone inside the 10 for Alabama, whether it's 12 men on the field, you're having to waste timeouts, whether it's, listen, let's just say it. I mean, Logan played terribly. He punted terribly. He averaged 31 yards a kick. That's just not going to get it done. You couldn't flip field position. You didn't seize those opportunities. That's all very frustrating, but I feel like that is something that ought to be remedied to some degree moving forward. The fact that you have the other things in place, we were so worried about whether or not this defense had learned its lesson from a year ago, and would they start the season well? Would they be disciplined against Alabama? Would they be able to shut down a mobile quarterback? Alabama's 4.5 yards per play, their worst since 35, 37 games ago. That's how good Florida State's defense was. And moreover, it showed a ton of heart, man. That hasn't always been there. This is a group that we accused in the past, see the Louisville game, of beginning to go through the motions and feel sorry for themselves when things weren't going right. This group didn't do that. This group showed the heart of a lion. They're the only reason Florida State was still in the game late, because time and again Alabama's knocking on the door, and that defense wouldn't allow for this to be a runaway.
Yeah, and there's one special teams thing. It was the fumble and the kick return, too.
Sorry,
add that to the list.
There's so many to choose from.
But, I agree. The defense showed a lot of heart. I think the yards per play metric is the better one here than the total yards metric, because Alabama had 5 consecutive possessions deep in our own territory.
Well, right.
And short fields, too. Your quarterback doesn't help you there with 2 short fields. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Which, by the way, let's get to that, Tom. We got to get to that. For those just tuning in, I made a statement last hour that I think we may have seen the last of DeAndre Francois as a starting quarterback at Florida State. It may seem harsh. It may seem cruel. It may seem bad to be poor timing, fresh off an injury. I've got nothing but respect for DeAndre Francois, who I think is a good enough college quarterback to get you to the college football playoff. I don't think he's a great college quarterback, just a good one. Has some accuracy issues, and they were on display in this game. He played pretty poorly in the second half. All of that said, I hate that he got hurt, because his heart is not in question. His work ethic is not in question. His commitment to team and teammates and the university is not in question. So I like the kid, and nobody wants to see an injury, and I hate that for him. He's robbed of the opportunity to lead this football team. I know it's devastating to him. Nobody wants to see that. I get it. But obviously I'm paid to give an opinion, and my opinion is that it's really something to watch Jimbo Fisher, a quarterback coach, a former quarterback himself, the head coach and offensive play caller, to make a true freshman the starting quarterback moving forward. It tells me that he's very much pleased with and enamored by the talent of one James Blackmon, a kid who in a short time moved from 4th string to 2nd string, a kid that's going to get now, and again, you can't predict injuries, so knock on wood, nobody else gets hurt, but a kid who's going to get now a lot of opportunities and a lot of reps. This was the first game of the year. Again, assuming we don't see anything else flukish here, and that's the big caveat. Even if he plays poorly, I think Jimbo, one of the things Jimbo does very well, and he has great empathy for quarterbacks, he understands the mindset it takes to play quarterback, is he doesn't jerk guys around. He's going to let them play. And if that means that he has a bad game or two, Jimbo's going to roll him back out there. And what that tells me, now, you listen, again, nobody's more mindful, and Jimbo has said this before, you can ruin a kid before you really harness his talents if you put him in too soon. So for Coach Fisher to tell me, I like this kid, I'm going with this kid, he's got a little something to him. For Alec Eberle to say after the game and let it slip a little bit that there's something special about him, that he's got the it factor. Okay. So we saw with our own eyes what a beautiful ball he throws.
Yeah.
We know he's 6'5". That's a distinct advantage at the position. Some of the balls that DeAndre gets batted down won't be batted down for Blackmon. I just believe that moving forward game to game, he improves as the year goes on, and that means he's going to be very difficult to unseat moving forward. It's less of a dig at DeAndre Francois and more of acknowledgement of the situation and a credit to this young man who's come in here and done so much so quickly.
Yeah, I think the goals, this week, it's as interesting as an FCS or low-level FBS game can be, because you have a lot of moving parts here, and you have to see the comfort level. You got to be able to visualize what it looks like with James Blackmon playing in the first-team offense and not just handing the ball off in garbage time. I thought that was another just subtle decision by Jimbo Fisher. You could put JJ out there to go hand off the ball 3 times and end the football game. But to choose that you have a true freshman go in that situation, I know there aren't redshirt implications or anything like that, but that still sends a message to me that there is no question. There was no question on Saturday. He said he will very likely be the starter on Saturday night in the immediate moments after the game when he could have qualified it. And then today he doubles down and says James Blackmon's going to be the guy. The goal for this offense moving forward is going to be to change the eye level of the defense enough that it has to respect and play honest.
Play honest, that's all.
If it does, I think we're going to be able to run between the tackles this year. I think that's actually something this offense can do, and that's not typically something that we talk about here.
Credit to Alec Eberle, who had a good game. Credit, on the whole, to an offensive line that was pretty good in pass protection. Some of the hits that DeAndre Francois absorbed had to do with him holding on to the football for too long. You got a little problem there at right guard occasionally. His foot speed leaves a little something to be desired. It can happen. But I think by and large, they passed the test. And I agree. I think certainly moving forward, they're going to be able to run the ball a hell of a lot better against teams not named Alabama than they did the other night. I can tell you Alabama's really thinking they're lucky stars they don't have to see a defense like Florida State's the rest of the year too, because that was something to behold. You had two heavyweights beating the bejesus out of each other in that first half with defense carrying the day.
They did, and that's what they were supposed to do. But frankly, to me, if Akers is in the game more consistently, I think you win your fair share of battles running the football, getting 3 and 4 yards a carry. Patrick just wasn't fast enough to get there.
No.
And Alabama did call a lot of run blitzes into the teeth of some of our calls for Cam, because you're projecting what you're doing when he's coming in the game. You got to find a way to at least make the defense think.
Pistol, etc. One thing I'll tell you, though, it's interesting. We're not head coaches, and we wouldn't presume to know more than Jimbo Fisher does about calling a football game or knowing his personnel. But it's not like we didn't first guess the fact that Jacques Patrick wasn't going to be a good fit for this Alabama game.
Agreed, yeah.
It's just this was,
you had it that we were going to come out and throw first, too, and that's exactly what happened. And if you pull the trigger, first of all, the third down throw to Nooney is probably the worst of the two because it's an easy throw and it leaves your hand.
The fourth down throw that he doesn't see and never makes is a touchdown.
It schemed to be a touchdown, and it was.
The interference call that's not made, unfortunately. That said, that's not a good throw. If he throws that to the back, it's a touchdown. He doesn't.
But it's still first and goal at the 2. It's not a bad throw in that sense.
Well, I'm not excusing away the no call. It's just that a good throw, it's a touchdown. You have the 2 interceptions. There's some plays he just doesn't make. Alabama does that to you. Obviously Alabama's defense is great year in and year out. They make a lot of good quarterbacks look bad. So I'm not putting it all on some of those missed opportunities. I came out of this again feeling pretty good about what this Florida State team is. There are a lot of people who walked out of that stadium and the next day on social media and our email inbox, et cetera, that felt like automatic 4 or 5 losses. I'm not of that opinion. I don't see that. I think Florida State's defense, if not the best in the country, is one of the best 2 or 3 units in the country. I think they're good enough to carry the day. Some of it is circumstance. If you think about this again, all right, you get a game for James Blackmon to come in and play against Louisiana Monroe, so at least he'll have some reps under his belt before you take on Miami. Miami's going to have to come in here at night, 8 o'clock at night, with a new quarterback of their own going against what I think is, again, one of the best, if not the best, defense in the country. It's not like Miami's going to come in here and move the ball up and down the field. I don't believe that. I don't think they will, which means you're going to be in it, which means you can play conservatively. You don't have to ask your quarterback to make a ton of plays against a good Miami defense. He won't do that. He'll call a good game. He'll play a smart game. You got to figure out how to improve your special teams. Special teams lost you this football game. Special teams has been bad for a number of years. In essence, since Charles Kelly was elevated to defensive coordinator and was no longer in charge of special teams, for whatever reason, we've seen inconsistent to poor play on special teams. So I don't know, can it be fixed? Will it be fixed? It has to if Florida State's going to get to where they want to go. But if it is, Tom, the other elements are in play, even after the DeAndre Francois injury. This, to me, is not a team you automatically assume is going to go in the tank, because the other element, and we should talk about it because it matters, we ripped them when they didn't have it. We got to praise them when they do. They've got fight. They've got mental toughness. Jimbo lamented a year ago that wasn't there. It was on display Saturday night.
No, it's there. Special teams just got more important, too. Because you have a true freshman quarterback.
That I'm holding my breath on, though, because Logan was just lost.
If you have empty possessions because you can't help but get a kick blocked, or your kicker's still, the jury's out on whether or not he can hit one for 45 with any consistency. So you got that problem, too, and how you call a game and manage a game in the gray area, as Jimbo calls it. And every possession is going to count for more. Every hidden yard is going to matter more, and right now we're failing in that department, and we have for some time. You can replace the personnel as the returners. McFadden didn't look comfortable, a punt returner, point blank. The kick returners didn't look all that great either, with Gavin being the one who got the lion's share of the directionals. We didn't cover all that well again. So
covered okay.
I'm sorry, blocking on the kick return. Forgive me.
Yeah.
We didn't block all
we
that
actually
well on the
covered fine, yeah.
We covered fine. Great. It's great that one out of the 6 things in special teams works every single year.
Yeah, just about every facet was pretty bad, save for the cover, which, oh, by the way, when you have the kind of athletes Florida State does playing on special teams, you should be able to cover, and they do. But this is, again, odd to me that somewhere along the way they didn't note that Keith Gavin struggles with kick returns. Now, you can tell me, hey, you're not there. You're not at practice. You don't see him. He might have looked fantastic. Well, maybe he did. I'm not going to doubt that. The thing Keith Gavin was most noted for was his kick return against Michigan from a year ago. It's a busted play. It's a mistake. It's indecision. It's a pause. It's a kick he should not have taken out of the end zone. He chooses to, after waiting a second, nearly kneeling down. The thing about the play that's amazing is that it works, and he trucks a kid. But it wasn't like he was, he was doing what he was supposed to do. And then this game. So the evidence we have in games is that he's not good at it.
It's overwhelming evidence at this point now. He can rewrite the book on that.
I hope so, because he's a good player. By the way, nice receiver.
That's on its own. Just fine.
He's a nice player.
You hope, though, the mistakes in the return game don't affect the way he goes out there and functions on offense.
Well, that's going to be an impossibility, Tom, because he won't be returning kicks any longer. So all he'll have to focus on is the play at wide receiver, and we'll be just fine. It is damning. For all the positivity I felt leaving the stadium, despite the frustration and the sadness I felt, obviously, for DeAndre Francois, it's damning that you have this many athletes, this many elite-level, five-star athletes, many of whom were very good in their high school play at special teams because they're their best athlete on the field, that you can't get a guy since Greg Reed to return punts with any consistency, and that you can't return kicks with any form of consistency. That is damning and very, very frustrating. I get it. People have a right to be furious about that. The special teams blunders, along with a couple turnovers, led to Alabama having the ball for 5 consecutive possessions to start the drive inside the 50 of Florida State. You cannot win that way.
Yeah, which is why, again, I say the total yardage number for Alabama, we held them at under 270 yards, whatever it is. It's the best.
It's yards per play, 4.5,
yes.
Worst they've had in over 30 games.
When they ran the ball traditionally, we stopped it.
It was totally shut down.
They couldn't run up tempo for that reason. There was so much to like about what we brought to the table defensively. It's just, to me, if you're going to have a true freshman quarterback who's going to go through his ups and downs, and you want to still run balanced principles on offense, and you want to implement an offense that can throw or pass at any time, all of your details have to be that much more sound, and special teams better get sound really, really quickly.
Average field position for Alabama was the 45-yard line.
BS. Can't happen.
You can't win. You can't win that way.
No.
And it's,
And yet, if you don't turn the ball over inside your own 30-yard line 3 times, I mean,
you could win the game.
You could still win the game in spite of that.
Would have been tough because Florida State's offense in the second half, we got to give Alabama a lot of credit. That's an awesome defense. They won't face a defense that good all year long. And Alabama was coached well. They obviously execute. They don't make the kinds of mistakes that cost you football games consistently. I mean, that's all there. Nick Saban's a great coach, has a huge staff. They execute and implement what their game plan is very, very well. They take advantages of your weakness. There's just no doubt about all those things.
One other thing we talked about at halftime, we both agreed that in the first half, Jimbo called a really, really nice half of football, except for after the 9-yard punt. Right?
That was terrible. That was a terrible sequence.
I mean, that was killer. You talk about grabbing momentum. That's a key chance right there to make Alabama think twice. Because if you consider that, they have 2 missed field goals from makeable range, and then they have a 9-yard punt.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's not like their special teams was kicking ass across the board. You had an opportunity for that to be a talking point if you gave yourself a chance to win the game.
Their punter, despite that shank, was decidedly better than our punter.
Well,
it wasn't close.
I know. Pulse.
Well, but he also performed well, save for that one punt.
We need Case and Beatty to just call up this kid on the phone and say, here's what happened. Here's when I went from debt to profit, and here's how you can too.
That's the tough part because we could talk about, hey, you got to move coaches around, you got to do all this other stuff. You got to figure out how to get your special teams right. But in terms of the punts themselves, that's not something really a coach is going to be able to do. That's a psychiatrist. I mean, they got to get this kid thinking right. He's got a big leg. He's just not booting the ball right now. He doesn't have the confidence. Jimbo Fisher, my conversation with him from this morning is coming up next. Stay tuned.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
It takes to get myself off the roof. Like 0% interest for 6 years on America's #1 selling SUV, the Nissan Rogue, and up to $5,300 in total savings on the red-hot Nissan Altima. Or take up to $10,500 off MSRP on the Nissan Titan with America's best factory truck warranty, 5 years or 100,000 miles, bumper to bumper. And as always, our exclusive lifetime warranty. And they wonder why Tallahassee is a Nissan town, a Kraft Nissan town. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now. Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful. You are now off the couch and out exploring the world. Roger that.
Get charged up for what's coming next, anytime, anywhere, with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
RCD Shell knows how to keep you cool and refreshed. All 20-ounce Pepsi and Mountain Dew products are 2 for $2.22. That's right, 2 for $2.22. And 28-ounce Gatorade is buy one, get one free. It's more fun with Pepsi and Dew, so bring on the bubbles with these cool prices at RCD Shell.
Brent, this month's topic is classic song lyrics. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Here's a lyric. American history, practical math. You study them hard and hoping to pass.
It's from School Days by the great Chuck Berry. He wrote and recorded so many great hits.
You mean like TNT Supercenter sells and services so many top golf cart brands with an enormous selection all under one roof?
TNT Supercenter customers can compare the top golf cart brands side by side. Club Car, Yamaha, Star EV, and the ultimate hunting vehicle to beat. TNT Supercenter has the largest selection of carts in the area. Pre-owned carts starting at just $19.99. New carts with a 4-year warranty starting at just $49.99. And at TNT, our service center and service technicians are trained, certified, and authorized for every brand we sell.
And there's plenty of parts and accessories too, right?
Our parts inventory is huge, and we'll dress up your existing cart with a full line of Mad Jack's premium accessory products like seat kits, light kits, lift kits, and now for a limited time, save 20% on all Mad Jack's parts and accessories.
TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to Dairy Queen in Thomasville, and online at TNTSupercenter.com.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left!
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Get your weekend started right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Saturdays at 6 a.m. with Fishing Florida Radio. Listen to the three amigos, Boudreaux, Steve Chapman, and Captain Mike Ortega as they catch you up to speed on what's new and biting in the North Florida region. Big-time guests, celebrities, interviews, and 3 hours of the fishing info you need. Fishing Florida Radio is brought to you by Sea Quarters Marina off Highway 98 in Carabel. Sea Quarters Marina, your full-service marina, and presented by Hobbit American Grill, locally owned and operated since 1978.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Temperature 97.9 ESPN Radio. So I talked to Jimbo Fisher very early this morning on his way into the office. Hey, I got to reveal this. I don't think it would bother him at all. I asked how he was doing. Always kind of begin our conversation cordially enough before we actually get into the meat of the interview. And excuse me. He said, I said, how you doing, Coach? Plus, I was kind of sad about the fact that, hey, listen, you just lost your starting quarterback. And, I know he really, really respects and admires the work ethic of DeAndre Francois. So I was kind of a little worried about where he'd be. But this is kind of true to who he is, right? He said, oh, I'm fine. I'm great. I'm on my way to work. It's just a weird phrasing, right? I'm great. I'm on my way to work. Meaning, if you get the opportunity to go to work, what could be wrong? And I believe, and this is I know I'm supposed to do a short setup for this interview because we're already past time, but screw it. Let me just say this before I give you the Mountain Dew interview with Jimbo Fisher. I really do believe, first of all, I've said a couple things today, and there have been a few people who, for whatever reason, are upset with it. I don't care about that. I believe James Blackmon is going to take this job and run with it. I'm not sure I don't believe we'll see DeAndre Francois start another game short of injury to Blackmon, and knock on wood that doesn't happen. It's not a knock on Francois. It's not something I'm wishing happens or I'm against him or anything like that. It just seems logical to me that a kid who comes in here in such a short period of time, goes from fourth string to second string, to gets announced as a starting quarterback just like that. Jimbo sees something in him, a real promise in him. He's 6'5", throws a pretty ball. I think he'll get better as the year goes on, obviously. And by season's end, he will have enough experience to have a distinct advantage going into camp. The other thing about a patellar tendon injury is that, unfortunately, those can really linger and cause other problems. And now I'm not rooting for that, of course not. But I think it's reasonable to say he may be at a disadvantage when the competition does heat up when we get into the spring. So all of that said, one of the reasons Jimbo's excited to be going to work is that he walked off that field on Saturday night disappointed in the result, but not in what he saw from his offensive line, and not what he saw from his defensive line, and not what he saw from his secondary, and not what he saw from his ends and defensive tackles, and not from what he saw with the young talent and guys obviously like Cam Akers, and not from what he saw with the elevation and status of listen, to me, Auden Tate looked good. When given the opportunity to be a big receiver and do what a big receiver ought to do, go up and catch the football with strong hands and high point, he did. He looked fluid. He looked comfortable. Keith Gavin is going to get better and better and better as he plays. He already has that big receiver body, knows how to use it. He's a talent. Nooney's going to be inconsistent, capable of the explosive play, let you down with some inconsistencies in route running and effort, but he's going to be out there for you. Hey, we even saw George Campbell in this football game. So they're going to be okay. If you can protect James Blackmon being the passer he is, and being that I think they're going to be able to run the ball moving forward when they're not facing Bama fronts, you can still win a lot of games. I know a lot of people don't believe that. That's fine. We disagree. You can still win a lot of games. I think Jimbo thinks that's possible too, and he is now given, in a weird way, this opportunity to kind of forge a new path with a guy who's 6'5" and really throws a pretty football. We'll see how it goes from here. This was my conversation early this morning with Jimbo Fisher. This is the Mountain Dew head coach interview with Jimbo Fisher. Nothing like going back and looking at game film, so I want to get your thoughts on this. I went back and watched the regular broadcast, and I got to tell you, there's a weird part of me that would suggest to listeners right now that other than the DeAndre injury, you might be kind of happy with the film you looked at, save for special teams. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we knew we walked off the field with a very good football team, and just disappointed that we let some things change the momentum of the football game and change it. But it was an excellent football game there for a while. And like I said, it was two good teams, and they made less mistakes than we did. There's 3 or 4 critical plays in the game, but that's the way you have to do that. That's all part of it.
Yeah, and looking at it, I don't know. I mean, 7 was the fewest amount of points you could have walked off the field with at the end of the first half. I mean, there are 3 scores there. There's the 4th down play. There's the blocked field goal. There's the touchdown you got. Really, I mean, that's got to be very frustrating because I think, and as you touched on it after the game, Florida State walks into the locker room if any of those are executed with the momentum.
Oh, they are. And then, like I said, we had the 4th down. The 3rd down play was there, too. We just missed it. The 3rd down play was the 1st down, the 4th down play. But at the same time, that's nobody's just fault. And, you play good teams, they do that. We had a great drive. We moved the ball consistently all the way up until after we had the special teams. Even his first drive of the second half was an excellent drive as far as changing field position, winning the battle. When you play good teams like that, it went that way. And, I thought the missed call at the end of the first half hurt, but at the end of the day, we could have had a touchdown, but still we had a field goal. We just didn't execute it, and we did in good shape. I felt great at halftime. I thought we were in great shape in the game. We lost the momentum of the game, and that was the big thing that killed us.
Well, you had to have known, obviously, through practices leading up to this game that you had a really good defense. But this defense ends up holding Alabama to 4.5 yards per play. It's a dominant defense. The two offenses, I guess if you just look at some of the totals played even, it really is the easiest game in the world to kind of assess from a distance. We don't have to make too much of it. I mean, it's special teams and it's turnovers. Outside of that, I guess, tell me what the film told you about why those special teams mistakes happened.
One was a technique error. The first one was a technique error, something that we kicked every day. And the other was nothing more than a split. Guy's split was too wide. And something in front of PAT, the disappointing thing is, those are things that we work every day from the first day of camp. We do them religiously and never take a day off of them. And unfortunately, we just had a split that was poor and a technique that cost us on both occasions.
Coach, what did the film tell you? I thought the offensive line held up pretty well, given that it was Bama. I thought DeAndre had some time to throw there. I know he was getting hit, and we'll get to DeAndre in a moment, but I thought the offensive line held up well. What did the film tell you?
Very good. There was only 2 or 3 of the occasions. One sack, a guy got beat on the third down there in the first drive of the second half. We had a chance to make a corner throw, and guy just got beat. Another time they passed off a twist, they shouldn't have. The way they did it, but I mean that happens in a game. You never go a game without either some kind of that going on, at least one. But I thought they played that. We chipped and helped them a lot, and did a great job. And they, and even when we ran the ball, even our numbers didn't show. Then we just lost the momentum of the game in the third quarter and where we were. But I thought the line played a pretty solid football game.
So obviously, Coach, now the question, unfortunately, very sad for everybody to see. I hate it for the young man. DeAndre is out for the season. And I guess I want our listeners to hear from the head coach what you do, because as the primary play caller and as the guy that has to gauge the locker room and to speak to his team, I know you love to go to work. I know it's time to do exactly that. But take us through how you guide, how you'll guide James Blackmon, a freshman quarterback, through this process.
Well, the big thing is going to be a lot of other guys that have to do these things, Al has to step up. The offensive line, the backs, the receivers, all those things have to do their job, to allow him to do his job, just like with young quarterbacks. And that's one of the things that you have to do and you're required to do as a teammate. The defense will continue to play well, but James was a guy that I think was played very well in our scrimmages, executed well, got very good arm talent, throw the ball, and we'll manage the things he can do. But also the pressures of how things are done will also incorporate more on the other guys on your team, and as he grows into his role.
What, for people who don't know who he is, obviously those of us who cover the team locally know how you've talked about him glowingly after practices and talked about his growth and rapid growth at that. For people that don't know, he wasn't even an early enrollee. So what about his game did you immediately see? He's obviously a quick learner. I guess give us a profile of what allowed him to emerge already as a second-string quarterback.
Well, he's great. Does study well. He engages well. He asks questions. The ball makes sense to him. He works at the game. Learns very quickly. And then has good skills. He can run well. He's actually a very good athlete. He's got good arm talent. He can get the ball to all parts of the field. And throughout that whole process, he's just grown, and he played well in the scrimmage. He competed well when the lights went on too. And that's not to say the other young guys. Like I say, I was very pleased with Bailey. Bailey was hurt on one of our scrimmages. I think it's going to be a really nice player, too. JJ had one of the best camps he's had, but James just made plays and also had a presence to him. Had a good presence to him in the huddle.
Coach, best of luck. I'll talk to you again next week. Take care.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care. That's Jimbo Fisher, head football coach at Florida State. Going to work. You got a situation now where it's going to be interesting. I actually believe, and we I barely got a chance to open with this. It's going to be a theme for really, I think, the next few weeks. I kind of think, in a weird way, obviously, you hate to see DeAndre Francois get hurt. That's terrible. And you hate it for the kid, and it's not good for the team because he's your guy. But Jimbo Fisher's unique in this way. I think he's very good with young quarterbacks. I think he's really good as a play caller. I think he's best as a play caller. When he really has to do it, when he's up against it, when he has to grind and make something, for lack of a better term, out of nothing. If you go back and look at some of the teams that, well, I don't want to make it sound like he's best when he's desperate, but certainly, you know how when you were in college, if some of you were like me, maybe you just stalled and you didn't do the things you needed to do throughout the course of the week, and then bam, you were up against it. A paper was due, a test was to take place the next day, and you had to scramble. And you performed well. And you learned after a while that's kind of how you worked best, under pressure, under the gun, for whatever reason. And it's not a good idea, but you did it, and you got by with it. I feel like Jimbo Fisher's that guy. I feel like he does a fine job otherwise, but when he's pressed, really pressed, and has to find a way, maybe that differs from what he would like to do, he scrambles with the best of them. I think he'll set this up with a young quarterback and James Blackmon in a way that he can succeed, and he walked off that field, as he just said, knowing that his defense was very, very good. They're going to rely on that defense. I really believe that really they're going to be able to run the ball far more effectively. Nobody really runs the ball on Alabama. Ohio State did, different offense, 4 pro offensive linemen, 250-pound quarterback, and Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield. There aren't too many examples. Deshaun Watson scrambling around. These are unique examples. It's not what you see happen against them. That's why every year they have a top 5 rush defense. So I don't think that's a great indicator of how Florida State will run the ball. I think Florida State will run the ball more effectively. They'll play great defense. They got to fix special teams. We could go on and on about that. That's a nightmare, and it should never happen, and it's embarrassing. But I think they walked off the field knowing they have a really, really good football team. I don't think he's wrong about that. We'll come back, react to that momentarily. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Ford. If you've been suffering from a chronic illness and prescription drugs aren't working, it's time to seek alternative treatment. Dr. Joe Dorn provides evaluations and ordering of natural products for patients who qualify under the new Amendment 2 law. To make an appointment with Dr. Dorn or for a free e-visit, go to mmtcfl.com. That's mmtcfl.com. Visit Dr. Dorn at our Tallahassee MMT Clinic on Capitol Circle Northeast, next to the Cake Shop. It's time to stop suffering and seek affordable and compassionate care.
Fire up the grills for another season of Seminole football.
2nd and 3, patient, then explosive, and a touchdown for the Noles.
It's Tallahassee Game Day, your ESPN Tallahassee pregame show, featuring Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Yeah, I like them.
Get the latest news, interviews, and insights 3 hours ahead of kickoff before the Noles defend home turf.
Hey, on Saturday, we're going to play a game. We're going to most likely win that game, and we're going to celebrate on Sunday.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Whole Foods Market, a leader in natural and organic food that brings the highest quality of local and global products to Tallahassee. Whole Foods Market, located at 1817 Thomasville Road, and presented by MMT Clinics of Florida. Visit mmtcfl.com.
To the pylon! That's a Seminoles touchdown!
Brewing Company and For the Table Hospitality present the 5th annual Florida Tap Invitational, September 29th and 30th. This 2-day event features a block party Friday and a beer festival on Saturday. VIP and general admission tickets are available at FloridaTapInvitational.com.
Investing is a long-term process. How many times can you think of in the last decade that the stock market has destroyed retirement funds for people just like you and me? For your existing IRA, you need the security that gold has provided for centuries. Remember, gold has never been worth zero. Capital Gold would like to introduce you to the Home Storage Gold IRA. It's a self-directed IRA set up with all the protection and tax benefits of an LLC. But the big difference in this IRA is you invest in gold and you hold it in your possession. You can't do that with stocks. That's security. You can transfer any type of IRA hassle-free in days. Please call right now and learn more, and we'll waive the $500 setup fee and give you a free safe to store your gold. Call 800-515-6302, 800-515-6302, 800-515-6302. That's 800-515-6302.
Look out in the street there. You know what you don't see? My car, because I had to sell it to pay the lawyer I hired when I got busted for drunk driving. Know what else you don't see? My girlfriend, who decided that a guy with no car and no license and no money was no fun. And hey, you know what else you don't see? You don't see me leaving for work in the morning, because I missed so much time with court and everything that I got fired.
Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Attention all business owners, it's here. 97.9 ESPN Radio has developed the Triple Play, Tallahassee's most effective advertising campaign. The Triple Play combines radio, TV, and the internet, and it's brought to you only by Tallahassee's #1 sports station.
Hi, I'm Nina Davis, account executive here at 97.9 ESPN Radio. Call me at 561-8400 right now to find out more about our Triple Play advertising campaign so we can grow your business. It's football season, so everyone's listening. Call me, Nina Davis, at 561-8400 to partner your business with Tallahassee's Sports Monster.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Some reports out of South Florida are that the Tampa Bay Miami Dolphins scheduled football game for Sunday will be moved to Friday. Now, that's not been announced by the league. There's nothing official yet, but they are stating that some of the Dolphins' preparations are being done as if they're playing the game on Friday. So there's an outside chance that Florida State, Tampa Bay, and Miami, instead of Sunday, due to the pending hurricane that is directly on path towards state of Florida, South Florida in particular, a few days out yet, could be heading their way and may need to make some changes there.
Yeah, first of all, I mean, we saw what Harvey did, and hopefully people are still helping out as much as they possibly can for relief in the Houston area and the Gulf Coast that was affected by Hurricane Harvey, but Irma looks to be no joke. And so for all those that
very
are listening,
disconcerting.
For all those who are listening, and we have a lot of listeners in the south part of the state, I hope things turn out okay. I mean, it could go into the Gulf and come up our way, but we're certainly, I think, all of us now in the state of Florida bracing and watching that forecast and the updates to the cone, if you will, and the computer models with great interest over the next couple of days.
Yeah, hold our breath, and obviously best wishes for anybody that's on the path there, and it could very well be us. So obviously make preparations accordingly. I don't want to stir the fears that always at times can be an overreaction depending on, what is stated by the media. But this does appear to be a bit of a problem. I know you've reached out to a friend, Florida State weatherman, graduate
Yeah, he works out in Dallas. He has yet to respond back, but he does the early shift, Jeff. He works now. He has to get up at the 3 a.m. deal.
Yeah.
And then he works for Roto Grinders. He does the daily fantasy football forecast
Nicely
and
done,
baseball
buddy.
forecast.
A little double down, right?
Yeah, Kevin Roth is his name. Search for him on Twitter. He's a good follow if you're a DFS player.
Yeah, here you go. All right. By the way, we have to do a little what's on tap, don't we? Fire it up.
Ready for a cold one? Proof Brewing Company in Railroad Square Art Park presents What's on Tap. So, Jeff, what'll it be?
Well, I'll tell you what it'll be. It'll be Georgia Tech and Tennessee tonight, 8 o'clock. More football follows. Can't possibly live up to what we saw last night, which was insane. 2 really good games, West Virginia and Virginia Tech, and then the tent of suspicion glory that was those 2 fraudulent programs year in and year out, Texas A&M and UCLA, putting on a showcase for us. Bizarre game and one that kind of makes you laugh at both universities. But Rosen's good. We knew that. 8 o'clock tonight, ESPN, Tennessee, number 25. Tenuous, their hold on the top 25 against Georgia Tech. Of course, Georgia Tech looking, would this be the 3rd consecutive win over an SEC school if they get it? I think it is.
I think it would be. Did they win 9 games last year? Is that accurate? I think they did. So if they did, that means they're going to get blown out because Johnson doesn't put together a couple of years in a row.
I largely ignore Georgia Tech football when possible, but I'll be pulling for them tonight. Our thanks to Proof Brewing Company for coming on board to sponsor What's on Tap. Proof Brewing Company and For the Table Hospitality present the 5th Annual Florida Tap Invitational, September 29th and 30th. One of North Florida's largest 2-day beer festivals. That's always cool. VIP and general admission tickets are available online, FloridaTapInvitational.com. All right. My Pirates are currently up on the Cubs 4-0. I know all of you were dying to hear that information. Now you have. Don't you feel better?
Touchdown Cowboys.
Yay. So should be noted that I'm gonna read a quote from you. This is Alec Eberle talking about James Blackmon. From the moment he stepped on campus, he's a special kid. There's just something about him. In football, there's some people that have it, the it factor. He's got it. Whatever it is, he has it. Well, all right. Jimbo Fisher. I don't mean it as arrogance. They just have a presence. When they talk, there's a natural command in the things with what they do, how they carry themselves. I think James certainly has that. Go back to the stuff I said earlier in the show when I was saying that, unfortunately for DeAndre, this may be, and in my prediction, the last time he starts a quarterback for Florida State. It's because James Blackmon appears to be a special kid. I don't know how well or how quickly he'll play this season, but I'm betting by season's end, he's really good.
2 quick points. One, we'll return back to the James Blackmon storyline, but the first one is, good on you, Alec Eberle. There's a time and a place to take a 15-yard penalty, and that was the time
nicely done
and the place to do so. We had said that a couple weeks ago. I'd like to see the offensive line have a little bit of a chutzpah to it, and that was it. You're going to let that run push you around or no? No, you're going to hip toss him. And the referees alertly called it both ways, which I thought was pretty nice.
Yeah, listen, the offensive line wasn't the reason for the loss. We thought it could be. It wasn't. They played well enough to win. Were they dominant? No. Were they good enough to win? Yeah. Will they allow Florida State, I think, to be able to run the football moving forward? I think so. And it'll be interesting to see Blackmon, the passer, 6'5", seeing over that line, really good thrower of the football. I'm anxious.
Yeah, the second point is, and you picked this up, when Jimbo is bleary-eyed and driving into work today because he's probably stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning doing film and he went home just to rest. He did offer to you in the Mountain Dew interview that ball makes sense to James Blackmon, and that's not an idle quote.
It's a hell of a quote. That quote kind of, listen, the fan in me rose up. I was, all right, that's code, man. He's a quarterback talking about a quarterback about his offense. That's code. That's a good sign. You couple it with the physical tools and the quick ascension. What does that tell you? Tells you why I gave you the opinion that I did. If you missed anything from today's show, including that opinion, you can find it upon the conclusion of this program, which is now. All you got to do is go to iTunes and our own audio vault on the webpage, and you'll find it. I look forward to it. Good work out of you, Thomas. Good work out of you, Matthew. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.